Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Channel 2S. This is another stream, just making sure my mic working, my avatar is working. Everything seems set to go. So hello and welcome to the stream today, everyone. I've tried moving these streams to a little bit of a later time slot so more people are able to show up to them. I know for in the Eastern Coast, it's not too bad at this time, but I know for a lot of you guys that are more on the West Coast, this is kind of early for you. So I'm gonna try to push my streams back a little bit later. Welcome to the stream, though. Welcome, Ragey. Welcome, ID, MJ, Alex. Good to see you guys all here. So, I've actually never built a Witch from Mercury kit before. I have a pretty good idea of what this is going to be like. I'm not particularly fond of kits that tend to be like this, so I kind of avoided building any of them. However, I've also seen people swear up and down that these are actually really, really good kits. So while I am very doubtful of that, I did pick up a Gundam Calibarn a few months ago. Yes, that's how long I've been planning this stream for. I'm pretty sure I bought this kit back in February, but I decided, you know what, the Calibarn is one of the few designs from Witch from Mercury that I actually do quite like, so why not? We'll build a kit of it, we'll see how it is. My expectations are not particularly high, but I am open to having my mind changed. And yeah, Andre, I didn't build one of these before because I could tell by the way they were constructed, it really didn't look like the type of kit that I would enjoy. I don't like that really super, like, cheapo C-clip construction that the 30-minute missions kits use. I didn't like it on the G-Unit kits. And overall, it felt like they were really trying to, like, cut as many corners as they possibly could with these models, and that reminded me a lot of the IBO kits, which I didn't really enjoy that much either. So my expectations for this were pretty low, and they still are pretty low, but we're going to build it today, and we're going to see if things actually end up the way that I think they are, or if I'm going to be pleasantly surprised. So, I'm going to grab my tools here. Why does the HD Unicorn have bad proportions? It was just an older high-grade kit. You know, sometimes they're hit or miss. Although I don't think the HD Unicorn has the worst proportions out of the Unicorn kits. And in terms of the actual body proportions themselves, it's kind of one of the better ones. It just has a bit of that high-grade softening where they round off a lot of the pointier edges, which on a suit like the Unicorn that has a very kind of sharp aesthetic to it, it kind of makes it look not quite as good. But I think in terms of the actual body proportions themselves, I don't think the high-grade Unicorn is really one of the worst-looking Unicorn kits. I think the proportions in the real grade with those giant shoulders aren't quite as good as the high-grade, and I really, really don't like the proportions on the original Master Grade. I think that the really long, spindly limbs that it has just do not look great at all. They definitely optimized the proportions in the Master Grade for the Unicorn mode specifically, so when you add that little extra quarter-inch of length to the limbs in Destroy mode, it just throws everything out of whack. A lot of people talking of Witch from Mercury kits, but I've never seen them being built. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about them, but it also goes contrary to pretty much all of my previous personal experience with these type of models, so I'm kind of conflicted on this one. I'm curious to see how it'll go. Also, welcome to the stream, Christian Encrypted. Good to see you guys here. Good to see you, Andre. I think, at least, I want to take a look at the parts here and see what we got to work with. So, they do kind of an exam system thing here where they give you both the stickers for the deactive and active version of the permit parts. This is the standard retail release of the Calibarn, which means the stickers have this kind of multicolored effect to them where there's like this kind of rainbow glow going through them. If you get the, I believe, permit score 5 or permit score 6. I think it's permit score... Oh no, it's permit score 5, I think, for the Calibarn. The premium Bandai version of this kit, these stickers will be all red. So all the little circuitry bits here will be red. The parts on these little printed pieces here will be red. But aside from that, you're basically getting the same model. Just a nice little alternative for people that prefer the all red look. And there are seemingly quite a few stickers here. However, I'm not too concerned about the stickers in this model because most of these look like they're just sensor pieces for the weapons. We got the standard permit parts, and really it's only about half as many stickers as you see here since you're only using one set of stickers. So for the most part, outside of these white pieces here, which look like they could be a bit of an issue, I'm not too concerned about the stickers on this model. Now I do want to take a look. Don't forget the pink eyes. Are the eyes like the wrong color or something, MJ? I'd like some more elaboration on that because I'm not familiar with that aspect of this kit. I don't... recall what color the eyes are supposed to be. So this is something they made a big deal out of with these Witch from Mercury kits, is they kind of tried a new printing method to pre-color some of these parts. And on the WFM kits, they do it for the permet parts for the chest and also the V-fins. So the back of the part has this sort of silvery finish to it. It's been painted on. And then when you turn it over, they've sort of printed the pattern underneath the piece. So this isn't like a sticker or a pattern that's painted on top. It's underneath the clear plastic, and that goes for the gradient on the V-fin, as well as the circuitry on the chest. Oh, 2 eye sticker options for both pink and green. I see. I feel like the reason it's contrary to what you know is because the people who bought these kits don't build Gundam kits were around for the Witch from Mercury hype. Yeah, I don't know. I've also heard from some people whose opinions that I generally trust that have built a lot of kits that these are also really good. So I'm curious to see how this turns out. Oh, dude, Christian, my channel's been not dead for a really long time. I've done like 4 or 5 videos this year and about that many streams. It's just that YouTube really doesn't like pushing them out to people. Why was Amuro in the early episodes arrested from the brig? I mean, he did kind of hijack a military vehicle. That's not exactly something they're gonna let slide. Yeah, I'm like a phoenix that like only slightly comes back. Like it doesn't come back as this big majestic bird. You just get like this really awkward little phoenix chick that kind of stumbles out of the ashes and like falls back on its face and breaks its neck and dies again. And then there's this little puff of smoke and see another little phoenix chick kind of stumble out of it. And it's one of those really little baby birds, so it doesn't even have all the feathers yet. It's just this gross little featherless flesh creature kind of stumbling out of the ashes. But hey, at least I keep coming back. 4 a.m. and trying to finish the RG Hainu. That is late. I'm assuming you're in Asia. Unfortunately, when it comes to my Asian viewers, there's not really a lot of times during the day that I could stream that would work for you guys, because what's in the middle of the day for me is the middle of the night for you, and vice versa. More like a chicken which comes back after going to KFC. I do tend to walk into a lot of traps that I probably shouldn't fall for. So we got the green molded parts here for the eyes. I do like that they're doing that with a lot of the newer high grades, having the molded in pieces for the eyes. It's like I've never had a problem with eye stickers, but it is really nice to have actual molded parts for them. This is just a standard white runner. After building the SFI Sentinel, it is nice to have a normal amount of runners again, and not this massive model where half the runners aren't labeled properly. And by the way, I haven't finished the Sentinel yet, but I did build some more of the parts for the alternate form of it. Oh. Normally for those types of builds, I make a review by just editing together the footage from the stream, but I think I'll actually make a separate dedicated video for the Sentinel, because I've got a few more thoughts on it that I didn't really articulate right in the stream. So here's the rest of the clear parts. They've got this kind of smoky gray look to them. It's a nice looking runner. I do like it quite a bit. And this is just your basic deactivated versions of all the permit pieces. So that's nice. And then we got our D runners, both slightly different. Actually, wait, what is... Oh, yeah, these are just 2 completely separate runners. It's like a half and half situation where there's one giant D runner and they just kind of break it in half. So that's what's going on there. And another thing that I like that, I don't know if this has become like super standard, but I feel like we see it a little bit more with high grades nowadays, is the inclusion of a little miniature stand with the model. I'm going to turn up my brightness just a little bit. Just a little bit like that. There we go, just so you can see stuff a little better. The sun's no longer beaming directly down on my desk, so I have to kind of compensate for that. We got blue beam sabers. Standard, as a standard would for Mercury, the colors for these sabers are just all over the place. You know, no one seems to come with the right color blades, so that's just a thing you got to work with. I do appreciate having more blue blades, though, since that's not a color you get super often, and at the very least, it does look good with the color scheme of the Gundam. Yeah, I do. Okay, to be fair, yeah, I do kind of set up my own trap. I'm not the chicken that keeps getting out of the KFC. I'm the chicken who is a franchise owner of a KFC. And every morning, I just fall face first into the fryer. Oh no, I have watched Freedom, Dipper. I watched Freedom a little while back. I bought this kit from Japan, so the little extra promotional pamphlets in a language I can't read. I got this kit on Tsuburaya for like $15, I think, and that's also really a big part of why I picked this up, because one of the biggest issues I have with the Witch from Mercury kits is not only are they simple, not only do they clearly cut a lot of corners, but they're so damn expensive. If you buy this model in the US, it's like $25. Even if you find like a store that's selling it for quote unquote cheap, it's going to be like $22. This is not a super $20 kit. This is like a $15, $17 kit. And for $15 to $17, it might be pretty good. So I thought, hey, you know what? I saw it for $15. That's how much it was. Why not? So I gave it a shot largely because of that. This is not a model that I probably would have ever paid full retail price for. Take it easy with this one. Feels nice to kick back after mentally taxing build. Yeah, I'm trying to sort of also temper my praise of this kit a little bit, because I don't want to overpraise this kit just because it's my first Bandai kit after building a third-party one. Like, I don't want to be like, oh wow, this kit's so fun to build because everything fits together and works properly. Like, no. That's just standard Bandai stuff. I'm not judging it off that. I just want to judge the actual quality of this kit. I did not get the third-party Solomon kit. However, I'm pretty sure my next build that I want to do... Well, okay, my next build is going to be the Figurized Luna and the high-grade Blitzduel, because I have those on pre-order already. But I would like my next third-party kit that I build to be the Eternal Star Glory. I really like how that looks. I like the Stargazer Gundam, and I think that would be a really interesting one to build. It's that EG plus build quality with high-grade price range. Yeah, exactly. Like, $25 was basically the price for a standard Build Fighters kit, and a standard Build Fighters kit came with so much stuff. The inclusion of the stands is arbitrary as ever. Yeah, it seems to be like a extra thing they just throw in if they have a couple extra bucks in the budget. And if they're selling this kit for $25, they definitely have the budget to throw in something like this. Probably costs them like a penny and a half to include. Maybe working the broom weapon first since the thrusters are repetitive. Honestly, I don't think anything about the build of this could turn me off after what I've just gone through, so I'm not too concerned about any part of the build being repetitive, especially on a high grade. Like, on high grades, the only high grade I've ever had where I felt like it really got repetitive was the extra weapons for the Thunderbolt Psycho Zaku. That's the one time where I was building a high grade and I was like, okay, this is getting kind of boring. Found the OG Gundam series better than Zeta? That's fair. I think Zeta's a lot better than original Gundam, but I can see why someone would like original Gundam more. It is quite a good show. Reminds me of the early days when this kit was first released. Scalpers and queues everywhere. Yeah, the lines and just the rate these kits sold out was just crazy. I've never seen something like that. Sold this exact kit a couple weeks ago. Nice. Does help retail prices when they have to include shipping to the US plus shipping to the store. For me, it's almost cheaper by starting from Japan. Yeah. I mean, the only reason I got it from Tsuburaya was because they have these free shipping campaigns they do from time to time, and I have no idea how they do those and still stay in business, because they will straight up just like free ship anything to you from Japan, no matter how big it is, no matter how small it is, no matter how many individual orders you make, they'll just ship it. And they only do it for periods of time, right? So, like, they have a free shipping campaign going on right now that's going until the 4th. And but they do them frequently, like at least 1 or 2 times a month. There's like a 4 or 5 day period where Tsuburaya offers free shipping. So whatever reason they're doing that for, they are doing it at a massive loss, because there's no possible way they're turning a profit from that. Especially considering that I don't know of anyone that actually buys from them when they're not having a free shipping campaign. Bought for the FOMO, but now I'd rather build MGs. Yeah, if you're an MG guy, this kit's probably not going to offer much for you. I'm hoping to make a new anime in the G Gundam universe. We're not getting a new G Gundam anime. We are getting a new G Gundam novel, though, so Bandai has been hyping that up a little bit. It comes with the power of LGBT, don't you feel it? Yeah, I can really feeling the rainbow permeating my body already. Tsuburaya prices are pretty jacked up. They're a little on the high side, but because of the whole free shipping campaign thing, they end up equaling out. Like, if I if I order like a average high grade from them, it's usually like $5 or $6 less than buying it with shipping from America, or sometimes even less than the pre-shipping price. Here in Europe, Calibarns are still being scalped. That's unfortunate. I've heard from some people that I know in Europe that the prices over there can be pretty whack, and the distribution's even worse. Oh my god, I saw a video someone made called The Underrated Gundam Series, and it was about which... Oh my god. Man, frickin' like the normie tier anime YouTubers just have, like, the most just moronic takes when it comes to mecha anime. Like, yeah, underrated Gundam series. Literally the one Gundam series from the last, like, 15 years that every person has seen. Surugaya has some rare goodies as well. Been fleshing out my Build Fighters lineup. Thanks. Yeah, they have some really cool stuff sometimes. I actually grabbed a couple of art books from them last time when I ordered this. I got one of Obari's art books, and then I got one for Super Robot Wars. So that was pretty cool as well. I miss ordering art books in Japan because I used to do that a lot before right before COVID hit, and when that happened, it kind of completely screwed up the whole international shipping thing. So I kind of had to put that off for a while. But I'm trying to build my collection back up in that regard. Lucky enough to find it at con for €25. Okay, I guess for Europe prices, that's not too bad. Man, in Europe, it's being... Oh, dude, everything gets scalped in Europe. European Gunpla distribution is absolute garbage. This guy that I know in Italy gets, like, his local hobby shop gets in, like, 5 or 6 kits a year. In Canada, Calibarn's being sold for $33, not including tax, which is around $25. Yeah, it's pretty much what it is here. Building the blue frame master grade. Man, I miss building strays. Yeah, the Astray mold is cool. Too bad that in the 15 years of its lifespan, they never made a gold frame of Matsumina. Sold mine in Europe for $25. Yeah. It seems like that's the standard going price no matter where you are. Alright, we should probably actually start on this build. Water. Okay. So, get the box out of the way. Got our gray runner. It's going to be B. A runner. B. C runner goes right here, and I'll drop the D runners on top. And I'll just kind of set these up here at the top. There we go. Got my Messer Command type from Surugaya, came in perfect condition, although the... Oh, import taxes weren't fun. Yeah, there's... I'm reminded every time I talk to people that aren't from America how fortunate I am to live in a country where there's basically no import tax for anything that's considered like a toy or model kit or honestly basically anything. I don't think I've ever bought anything... I don't think I've ever imported anything to America where I had to pay some sort of import tax on it. So I actually have no idea how American import taxes even work, because it's just not something I've ever had to interact with. So the first thing I'm noticing here is the manual is very clear. It's got very big illustrations, big lettering. On the colored pages, they're actually showing you the color of each part on the letter, which is something they seem to have shifted more towards doing in the last couple years. It's kind of a cool feature, but I don't find it particularly useful because 95% of the manual is just this, so you're not going to be able to take advantage of that anyways, so I don't really see it helping much. As an impatient person, I'd rather buy a kit from a US store than have to wait a month for a kit from Japan I got for slightly cheaper. Well, believe it or not, Surugaya, again, I don't know how they're able to turn a profit because they don't use the cheap shipping. I'm pretty sure they ship EMS because when I order from them, it takes like a week to arrive. It's stupid fast. They forgot the existence of Green Frame Mirage. Okay, but at least Green and Mirage Frame's understandable. The Gold Frame Matsumina is like the main antagonist suit of the original Gundam Astray manga. You'd think with the C type there'd be consideration for MG Matsumina. You'd think. I mean, we even recently got the Testament Gundam, we got the Lord Astray. It's not like they've stopped making Astray kits. Like, they could basically make one at any time and it would be easy profit. Actually, from Italy, luckily I have a store near me that sells a lot of Gundam kits. Nice. Oh, hey, Datcat, welcome to the stream. Yeah, you're actually not even that late. I started at 4, so we're really just getting... We're just getting started, as is usual Channel 2S fashion. Master took 4 days to come from Japan to Italy. Yeah, their shipping is crazy. Just so they have the high-grade Viruvini and MG Dunbine for goodish prices. Yeah, I try not to mention the names of specific things I'm looking at Surugaya, because a lot of times they get snapped up really quick. Fortunately, you tend to have really obscure tastes in mecha, so I think you're safe. Alright. So, we're going to start with the head, which means... I think... I mean, I kind of gotta have to use the permet parts, right? Like, I feel like it would be really boring to build this with just the deactivated permet, so we're going to be using the activated parts for this build. So, we're going to start on the A runner. Unlike the Sentinel, not everything is undergated here, which will make the cleanup a little bit faster. I will say that the color labeling on the letters does help a bit for the multicolored runners because it lets you quickly identify exactly where on the runner the part is. Like, I can immediately tell, oh, that's the one green piece on the runner. This is on the red side of the runner. This is on the yellow side of the runner. It does make it a little easier in that regard. And then we got B1. Work on my Infinite Justice Type 2 script, planning to get the raw footage tonight. Dude, I'm so looking forward to that kit. That looks awesome. In fact, I might or might not finally grab a Rising Freedom and Immortal Justice, depending on... I'm waiting to see... I'm waiting for my pre-orders for the month to actually come in, so I know how much it's going to cost me to ship them. And if it's not too much and I got some cash left over, I'll grab the Freedom and Justice because I really want to try those kits out. They look so good. E1, right at the top. And I know exactly where it is because this runner doesn't use the ass-backwards numbering of the Sentinel. Ended up paying over 65 euros for a Rose Gundam on Surugaya because I didn't consider import taxes. Oof. I mean, with it being a P Bandai kit and you guys not having a P Bandai shop, you probably wouldn't have ended up paying that much less for it anyways. Really cool quality of life difference in the manual. Color coding is simple and helpful. It is simple and helpful, but it's only simple and helpful on the pages that are printed in color. If they printed the whole manual in color, this would be a great feature. But because the whole manual is not in color, it's only a feature for a couple of pages out of 10. Which is why it's kind of a useless feature to me, because yeah, this is cool if you can do it for the whole manual. If you can't, it's kind of pointless. 21 and 22, and that's off the one runner. 22% VAT on everything, baby. Oof. Oof. Hilarious how MG Dunbine's $40 and the new HG's $42, right? Right? But yeah, like the difference in what you used to get for your money versus now is pretty crazy. Especially, I think part of it is that those older MGs, I don't think Bandai used to put as much of a markup on their non-Gundam kits as they do now. Like now, if they make something from Elgheim or Dunbine or Code Geass, they gotta really like add like an extra 15-20 bucks to it. But back in like the 2010s or late 2000s, they really didn't do that at all. Then we got 19. It's just gonna be the top piece for the head here. Not a fan of Yukio anymore, but the new Ra looks sick. Is that the I'm trying to remember. I've seen a few of the Yukio kits, and I'm not a big Yukio guy, so I don't like know them all by name. But is that like the big dragon-looking one? Because I think I vaguely remember seeing that. I'm really not good with the Yukio monsters, but I know a few of the early ones. Boy, I do love being extorted for money by the government. Yeah, isn't it great? Your country is so confident in the quality of their goods that they force you to pay an exorbitant amount of money for other countries' goods. That's just how good the quality of products made in your country is. Where's the E-Runner? Oh, E-Runner's the clear one. Some shops sell them in Europe, they're even more expensive. Yeah, because you're basically paying someone else to import it and then also paying their markup on top of it. I need E7. Little gem. A lot of those kits sucked and were below par, like High Grade Utica 7. Yeah, but at least they didn't charge you a premium for them. That's the unprinted one. I'm going to want the printed version. Golden Dragon, like, yeah, okay, I've seen that one. I kind of like their Exodia kit. I'm like the world's most casual Yu-Gi-Oh observer, so I'd never really seen like full body Exodia before. It's kind of a cool design. That is applied on all products, domestic included. Oh, okay, so that's not. Wait, so you paid 22% tax on everything? Holy crap! How do you guys live? Rather overpay a bit for a perfect version, but the high price doesn't mean I don't really buy them. Yeah, like, oh yeah, they're definitely good kits, and part of it is probably that like for some of these mecha, it's probably like the last kit they're ever going to get, at least for a long time. So them being really high quality models is nice, but man, they sure do price them accordingly. Recently built a bootleg MG Rizal Type C. Bootleg Rizal Type. I didn't know there was a bootleg Rizal Type C. And the build is surprisingly smooth. Now I want the Bandai one. Yeah, I honestly, I love the Master Grade Rizal C. That is probably one of my favorite Master Grades that nobody ever talks about. It's a really cool kit. It's insanely stable for a transforming model. Way better than my Zeta Gundam. Way better than the Delta Plus. It has a kickstand to support the backpack, but I found mine didn't even need it. I was just able to stand him up on his own, which was pretty crazy given how big the backpack is. Okay, so I'm going to check the manual images on the front because I want to see... if the... Okay, so it looks like the anime design does not have the bumps on the V-fin. It can be hard to tell sometimes because obviously high grades have like the safety nubs in the V-fin, but there's also some Gundams where the V-fin actually does have a little bit of a hook to the end, so I always double check with the manual to make sure that I'm not trimming something that I'm not supposed to. Most of the tax is included and is way cheaper without Oh yeah, that's right, you guys don't have your tax added after the fact. It's built into your prices, so you don't have to guess like we do. Fairly new to Gunpla and plastic bottles, so finding a lot of cool things. Digimon kits along with the Gundams, the more expensive One Piece ships. Oh yeah, Bandai makes a ton of cool models. Kotobukiya makes great models. There's also Good Smile Company, the company that makes Figmas and Nendoroids. They have their own model kit line called Moderoid, where they make a lot of like just like super obscure like literal Who mecha from the 70s. So if there's some random old 70s mecha anime that you really like, there's probably a Moderoid kit of it. I was surprised how expensive kits were when we went to the US and still need to pay tax. Yeah. Especially if you go to like smaller like brick and mortar shops, they can get pretty high sometimes. Gotta lock in and make sure I don't break the V-fin while I'm sharpening it. Go down a little bit more. There we go. That's better. That's better. While the Star Wars theme plays in my head thanks to the backpack, I'm more and more tempted to get the IWSP pack from AliExpress. It's honestly kind of cool looking. It's as far as I know, the one you're talking about is just the standard one that came with the high grade strikes. So it's not like great or anything, but it's still, I mean, it's okay. So that's something. I would like to see them do a modern IWSP in the option set line though. But so far, outside of the two striker pack sets they started the line with, Like, I don't know, did they start the line with those striker packs? Those are the first ones that I noticed, really, but I think everything else that I've seen from them is just re-releases of build custom sets, so in terms of original content in the line, it is a bit lacking. I really would like to see a new Gundam funnel set, an IWSP, you know, do the Cavalier, the Atori, but I don't know how much of that we're going to get relative to just re-releases of older product. I think I saw one from Knights and Magic. Looks like, yeah, they did a few Moderoids from Knights and Magic. They've done some Ray Earth, they've done some Pat Labor. A lot of really cool old shows that they've done. I'm kind of tempted by their Pat Labor line because even though it's some of their earlier models, so I've heard they aren't quite as good as the later ones, they did basically everything from the movie. And I mean literally everything. Every worker robot, every patrol labor variant, every, like, the military labors that you see in the very beginning of the movie. They did literally everything. I like the safety nubs so I don't cut them too much. They're too cute. Some people like leaving the nubs on. I'm not a big fan of it. It's such an easy mod to do, and it makes the kit look so much nicer to me that it's something that I always opt for now. At some point, I'm actually going to go through all my other old kits that I've built and trim all the V-fins on them like a mass neutering. Sharpen up the V-fins. Maybe clean up some nubs that I might have missed. Maybe give them a top coat and panel lining. Just bring them all up to standard. I would like if Bandai redid the Eureka 7 kits. Honestly, I feel like Eureka 7 is something they'd have a pretty good chance of revisiting. Maybe if it got some sort of new media like Code Geass did. They started the line with Striker packs and followed up with a lot of rebranded products. Yeah, so far everything outside of the 2 Striker pack sets has been rebranded that I've seen. The Pat Labor goes from old Moderoids to brand new models. Yeah, it's all over the place, but I like the fact that they're all there. And I enjoy the movie enough that I might actually go all in on the Pat Labor line. Speaking of nubs, there's a scene in which from Mercury with a schematic of the Fract, and they used the actual model of Gunpla so you could see the safety nubs. Yeah, I remember that. That was kind of funny. It reminds me of the I think it was Transformers Cybertron, where the character models for all the Transformers were literally just CAD models of the toys. So you could see like the cutaways for the ball joints in their limbs. You could see the screws in their backs. It was like watching Toy Story. There was this one guy that turned into a helicopter, and he had this like gimmick on the toy where there was like a push button on the side of the helicopter where you'd push it in and it would make the rotor spin. And the model in the show still had the push button on the side of the helicopter. They absolutely committed. And by committed, I mean they 100% just recycled the CAD models to animate the show. Eureka 7 got new media, it was all insanely awful. That's unfortunate. Well, sometimes, even if the media is trash, just the fact that it's in the public eye again can sometimes be enough to justify new merch for the old show. Yellow Park's gonna release an Evangelion line. I think I heard about that. That was unexpected. Is Code Geass worth watching? I enjoyed what I saw of it. I haven't watched it in a while. I started watching it around the time of Witch from Mercury, and I just never finished it, but I'm very open to finishing it. I really enjoyed what I saw so far. So, the head construction so far is very nice. Lots of great color separation and detail here. Everything very intuitively goes together. Although I'm sure there's plenty of Facebook posts from people building this as their first Gunpla and declaring it to be the worst kit ever because they don't know how to read. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that color separation on the face. Separate eyes, you got the gray molded around it, the red for the chin. Really, even the yellow for the side vents. That is really detailed. Doesn't even need a single sticker. And it comes with them. It comes with the stickers in case you want to put the stickers on, but I'm not going to, because if the plastic's already molded in that color, I'm not going to just cover it up with a sticker. I should watch the new Code Geass just for Catherine alone, trust. I mean, I guess I'll get to the movies eventually, but I want to watch through the show first. The option parts line is mostly to rebrand old accessory kits in one line. Yeah, pretty much. That's what a lot of it is. I wonder if we'll reach a point where they eventually start doing that with high-grade kits, too. Like, we start to see, like, HGUC kits or HGUC-style packaging for, like, IBO kits and Age kits and 00 kits, but it's not actually new models, it's just them re-releasing them in a new box. Just so they can, like, unify their brand or whatever. Some corporate BS. I don't actively watch Konosuba. I watched the first season. I can't remember if I watched the second. It was pretty fun, though. This kid has a near full inner frame. It's crazy. I've seen that. It doesn't really impress me when I see an inner frame on a high grade, because what I learned from the IBO kits is that the way you get an inner frame in a high grade is to compromise everything but the inner frame. So I'm not looking too forward to that aspect. I found with the IBO kits, yes, they had inner frames, but the way they did that was by making the construction as simple as humanly possible, and by having, like, Hero Factory 2.0 levels of armor gappage when they were assembled. Like, just a couple pieces here and there, and, like, tons of exposed frame. I was not a fan of that look at all. I would rather take a good quality high grade that's well built without an inner frame than one that has an inner frame and compromises everything else to make it happen. A very smaller front sensor than I was expecting. I can totally see people saying this is the best kit ever and shunning older kits because how spoiled rotten they are with modern engineering. Yeah, I've seen that too, and the worst part is what they consider to be older kits. Like, I've seen people saying that the Destiny Revive from HGCE needs an update because of the seed action system. You know, that kit that came out a few years ago that's probably one of the best high grades we've ever gotten. That Destiny Gundam? Yeah, there's actually people that think that that kit's not good enough. Oh, I didn't know there was a new Code Geass show. I thought that was just the movies. Okay. Oh, wait, is that Rose of the Resistance thing? The G-Reco kits and some of the HG Seed kits that will never get revived could easily be rebranded in the HGUC line. Yeah, I could see them almost... maybe not for the Seed kits. No, you know why they wouldn't do it for the Seed kits? Because they've already done it. The Seed remaster kits are already just rebrands of the originals. All they did was change the frame color and add a stand adapter. So they've already done a packaging refresh on HG Seed once, so I don't think they would do it again. Ooh. This is an interestingly designed piece. You got all these little gaps and cutaways in it. It's a very complex shape, so that when you push it in, even though it's one piece, it adds a lot of extra details. That is a really cool facial construction, actually. That is quite nice. Let me stick this in here. D120. I think I'm missing a part. D121, where are you? Oh, I cut it out already. So where is it? Uh-oh. Oh, no. Where'd it go? That is an incredibly important piece. That's literally the part that holds the V-fin on. How the hell did I lose that? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I assembled it wrong. That's the piece that I just put on the face. You're supposed to put the V-fin underneath it. Okay, let me pry this off. There we go. I understand how this goes together now. I needed to put the V-fin into the face and then assemble the face onto the main part of the head. So you go in here, like this, and then There we go. Now, VFin sticker. Gotcha. The HD Destiny is amazing, and they're including it with the Zeus silhouette. Yeah, exactly. It was good enough that they're still including it with the Zeus silhouette anyways. It's a fantastic model. It's probably one of the best high grades I've ever done, in my opinion. That and the high grade Infinite Justice are pretty much the best of high grade as far as like just quality, accessories, posability, detail. They're incredible kits. I was just reminded of the High Destiny would go hard with the Zeus. Oh, it would. I wish they package refreshed all the HGs with toothpick or short beam sabers and just threw in a modern long saber mold. That would be nice, just a little minor update to them. I mean, they're clearly willing to modify older kits anyways to add the new Bandai Namco logo, so who's to say they couldn't make more small changes? Drive all the completionists mad. Has all the effects you'd want from Destiny, right? Like, I can't believe how many effect parts that kit comes with. It's basically a perfect Destiny Gundam. Is the Code Geass show exclusively on Disney Plus? Okay, that would explain it. That's like a weird thing that Disney's been doing lately, where they've been grabbing exclusive streaming rights to different anime, and it's like, man, I'm kind of not a fan of that. Like, it's really, we're in like it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because it sucks when one company controls all of the media. So if you have like every anime going to Crunchyroll, like that sucks. But then it also sucks if you have to subscribe to 5 different streaming services to watch all your shows. So yeah, honestly, either way, not a good time for streaming. Can't say I'm a fan of how things are right now. So there's the head done. I just want to take a look at this up close so we can appreciate this, because even if the rest of this kit turns out to be garbage, this is still a really nice head design. The color separation is beautiful. We've got those little yellow details in the vents, the gray for the Vulcans, the green for the eyes, a little bit of gray trim around the eyes. You almost can't even see it. A little red on the chin, tiny little bit of green up here for the sensor, green on the back sensor. It's basically a perfect head. That is, so far, very impressive. I quite like how that looks. Disney can suck it, I'll crossbow my way into anime, right? Like, that's the thing, is that a lot of these companies that do, like, official US distribution of anime have to be really careful about what they do, because of all the different, like, media providers, they are quite possibly the most disposable, because they are literally just doing what fan subgroups have done for free for decades, and so many anime fans are used to obtaining their anime in other ways that they would very easily go back to it if ever any sort of friction came up between them and the official publishers. I'm mildly infuriated about all the possible kit variations Bandai could do with existing molds. It just refuses. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff they're leaving on the table. Seven Deadly Sins is exclusive to Netflix now. Seriously? Oh wait, Netflix. Never mind. That does make sense. Okay, because I thought we were still talking about Disney Plus, and I was like, wait a minute. I definitely remember seeing Seven Deadly Sins on Netflix. But yeah, see, the Netflix has been picking up exclusive anime subs for a while now. Like, they've been doing that since, like, what, 2015, 2016? I mean, I'm pretty sure that Devilman Crybaby show was a Netflix exclusive. Ajin was a Netflix exclusive. Knights of Sidonia. They've been doing that for a really long time. That's why I stick with Netflix and use a VPN. That is one option. That works. It is getting a bit harder to do that now, because a lot more of the streaming sites are aware that people do that with VPNs, so they've started to crack down on it a little bit. At least the Disney Plus anime stuff is shared with Hulu, I think, and D Plus anime is bigger. Okay, see, if they share it with Hulu, that's not as bad. Did I watch Arcane? I've been very interested in watching Arcane since it was first announced, but I have yet to actually watch Arcane. It's one of those shows where I'm like, man, I need to watch this sometime. It looks really good, and then I never actually watch it. But it's always been on my watch list, though. It's one of those shows I'll get to eventually. Heads off to the side. let's start on the body. We're gonna make this little neck guard first. 2 pieces, one here, and then one here. Arcane should be top of the list. It's pretty close, man. I know it's good. It's up there. I just haven't seen it. I really don't watch a lot of TV or movies. It's very rare that I'm actually in the mood to sit down and watch something, so my watch list is always longer than the list of things that I've actually seen. Season 2 in November, you have your excuse there. Yeah, I guess that'll be a good time to get caught up on it. I would like the beam sabers to be option sets including all the variety of colors. I think they did something similar to that in 30-minute missions. And if they haven't, then they should, because that line would be a great place for it. Just do a whole bunch of saber blades in different colors. Yellow, blue, purple. Just give us all the variations. Neck guard, like Wu-Tang said, protect the neck. Yeah, just the standard Gundam neck, but it's... Actually, wait, no, this isn't the standard Gundam neck, because usually they just used a little polycap, but this has an actual plastic joint with a collar guard piece that goes around it. That's kind of nice. How does this go? Like that, okay. I'm curious to see how this is going to affect the articulation, because instead of having a ball at the top and bottom, the bottom joint is kind of off at a 90-degree. We'll see how that works out. Let me just pop the head on there. So let's see how this joint feels. It feels okay. It feels like most other like direct styrene contact joints that I've tried, so I'm sure just like anything else, this is going to loosen up over time. I don't have super high hopes for it, but to be fair, it doesn't feel like really scratchy, so it's probably not going to wear out anytime soon. And that's one of the things that really you have to factor in when it comes to these polycapless builds, is not how they feel immediately after being built, but how they're going to be, you know, 6, 8, 9 months down the line. One of the animes I've really been enjoying recently is Yozakura Family. I've not heard of that one before. I can barely watch any shows because I've been playing this game called Wuthering Waves. I think I've heard of that one. That one looked really, that one I've heard good stuff about. There's a new game coming out from the Genshin developers, miHoYo, called Zenless Zone Zero that I might give a try. I was gonna do it on stream, but I'm like, yeah, I don't know if people are really gonna be interested in that. I think I'll just check it out on my own time, probably. B5 and 8. Maybe if they add some kind of mecha elements, I could find a way to like tangentially shoehorn it into this channel. I hear about the third-party company called HowYou making an MG Rising Freedom. I don't think I did. Is that the one where it's kind of stylized to look like really like lanky and sleek? Because I've seen some pictures of that floating around, but I couldn't tell if that was someone's 3D printing project or a resin kit or what was going on with it. But if that's an actual full third-party model, that's pretty cool. Oh, they're actually having to assemble the neck as you're building the body, so the body's like built around it. That's interesting. Okay. DZ kind of bores me because the character designs are mediocre. I'm more so impressed with the graphical style of it. The visual style of the game and the expressiveness of the animations are really, really nice. And I honestly, I love like stylized games. Like nothing bores me more than just the like frickin' like RE engine, you know, hey look, we made realistic humans, you can count the pores up for the 10,000th time. Like, I do not give a shit about any of that. Give me anime, give me cell shading, give me, you know, Jet Set Radio, Wind Waker. I love games that have like a unique visual style, you know, Hi-Fi Rush. I would so much rather have that than just the hyper realism all the time. I do like games that kind of blend the two, though. Like, I think Street Fighter 6 looks really, really nice. I think they finally, after like 3 3D games, they finally found one where they actually hit the balance of the art style right. That one is resin. Okay, I thought that was... I figured that wasn't like a full third-party kit. Oh, hey, welcome, Calvin. We are not that far into the build. We just did the head and we're working on the body. What are my favorite voice actors? I can't really think of any off the top of my head. I don't really watch a lot of English dubs, so I don't have any preferred voice actors on the EN side. And honestly, I don't really keep track of JP voice actors. Like, you could tell me, oh, hey, this is so-and-so voice such and such, and I would kind of just take your word for it. I'd love Arcane. Oh, yeah, I've seen the art style for Arcane. It looks gorgeous. I love this era of animation that we're in now, with stuff like Arcane, Into the Spider-Verse, Puss in Boots, Last Wish, where instead of CG movies all having the same kind of Pixar-y look to them, they're going for like a hybrid 2D, 3D look. It really gives them just a beautiful style. Okay, I don't think I need that part yet. I think I can just trim these and get to assembling this part of the body first. I'm almost being taken aback by how simple and fast this is. I'm so used to working on the Sentinel that I'm like, okay, there's got to be like 5 other parts that I need here, right? And more things that I need to trim the nubs on, and I gotta like fiddle and futz with these parts to get them to fit, and I gotta bust out the clamp again, but nope. This is a Bandai kit, so everything's just going together. Street Fighter 6 is really great. Yeah, it looks really cool. I haven't played it firsthand yet, but it's up there for me for sure. I would have bought it on the Steam sale, but I already bought a bunch of other stuff, so I was like, okay, I'll get Street Fighter 6 next time. I did grab the fighting and beat 'em up collections though, because I absolutely love the old Capcom arcade games. And I've been playing them through MAME, and like that works fine. That works great, but man, whoever Capcom hired to do those last couple collections, not the Street Fighter collection, but the fighting collection with the Darkstalkers, the beat 'em up collection, the MVC collection, they know how to make retro game collections. The quality of the experience, the multiplayer, the training mode, being able to switch between the English and JP versions, those are some really, really good collections with some great games. So, pulls forward, that side down. I'm noticing the construction of the body is very integrated. The joints, instead of being like, oh, build this part of body, stick a polycap between them, the joints are instead very integrated into the build. You're putting sockets and balls together as you are assembling the parts around them, and that feels like it's giving it a very integrated feel. Want to try Zenless Zone Zero just for Billy? He's funny and I love his design. Yeah, it's got some really, really vibrantly designed characters. Oh, I'm going to see some of the new style in that new Shrek project in the works. Oh, I'm sure there will be. I don't know if that's actually... Is that being worked on by the same people that did Last Wish? Because if so, man, I'm probably going to be more excited for Shrek than I ever have been. Imagine if this kid had individual finger joints to assemble. No, Bandai would never. Bandai's not that psychotic. I only remember the man, the legend, Kenjiro Suda. Can't... Yeah, see, that name means nothing to me. Why does it have the same ankle armor connection as the Gunvolva? That part broke on me. Oh, does this have the same ankle armor connection as the Gunvolva? That part broke immediately, gotta be careful. I think that problem was specific to the Gunvolva, so I would assume that this does it differently. So these ball jointed parts here are basically like a combination butterfly joint with also a shoulder pivot. So it gives you a similar style of motion to the swing up polycap, although it doesn't go up quite as high, but it also gives you a little bit of that tip forward from the swing forward polycap. So it's an interesting compromise between the two. I know a few creators like Oda from One Piece, that's all I know. Yeah, same. Some of the big guys like Oda, you know, Obari, Go Nagai, Tomino. That's pretty much where my industry knowledge of anime ends, is with the actual creators of the shows and manga. So now we're gonna start putting on the permit pieces. Grab the chest. Haven't had the ankle armor break on either kit, but better safe than sorry. Yeah, it's. I think with the gun Volvo armor, if you sand down the peg a little bit, it kind of solves the issue, because when the part connection isn't as tight, you're not as likely to break it. There you go. So this part is going to have a giant sticker on it. Also Miyazaki. Oh yeah, of course not. Yeah, the two very famous Japanese creators that are both called Miyazaki but have nothing to do with each other. Which always throws me off whenever I see interview quotes from either of them, because for some reason, even though they're both very well-known people called Miyazaki, every like site that reports on things that they say, for some reason refuses to call them by their first name. So you just see Miyazaki said this, Miyazaki said that, and you just kind of have to guess from context which one they're talking about. So I probably shouldn't have put the head on prematurely. I was expecting this to be like a standard HG build where the polycaps are just kind of in-betweens and you can assemble the parts as you like, but I think I might have put the head on too early because it seems like I have some extra parts that need to be assembled around the neck first. I don't really do custom color schemes in my builds, Calvin. I generally buy models that I like the look of from the get-go. There are what the heck? Sorry to not to cut it off there. I was a little bit taken aback by the shape of the sticker here. It's a little bit not quite what I was expecting. Ooh, okay. Ugh. The shape of these stickers is really bizarre. This probably could have been done with 2 stickers and it would have still looked fine and been a lot easier to assemble. Yeah. Yeah, that's this is definitely, it's not like Goujian rebake level, it's just a little bit awkward to get an H-shaped sticker onto this part. It's kind of like one of those like knuckle band-aids where it has like the little feet coming off it that you're supposed to wrap around your finger. It's kind of shaped like that, so it's a little bit awkward to get on here. But that actually turned out okay. That's probably the skill filter for the newbies building this kit. But yeah, to continue on answering that question, Calvin, I don't generally do custom color schemes because I usually prefer my kits to look how they do in the anime. If there's like a specific color scheme on a model I want to do, I might buy like an extra copy of that kit, but that's not something that I've really had to do yet. When if I try to rope my local model shop into Gunpla, I mean, if there's enough demand for it, like generally anytime the store starts stocking Gunpla, Gundam fans immediately start flocking to it, so it's generally a pretty safe investment. So the chest goes on the front, where the chest normally goes. Thinking of getting one, should I? If you're talking about the Calibarn, I mean, it's kind of hard for me to give insight on it, because I'm still very early in the process of building it, but it's been okay so far. The green stickers and the thrusters look kind of cool. Yeah, well, I'll see how those look when I get to them. There we go. On a goddamn island. Better Gundam Macross or Astro Boy. That's a really weird trio of shows to compare. I mean, I definitely prefer Gundam than both of those, but it's an odd comparison to make. Big one, but still a goddamn island. What, are you like Australian or something? I gotta say that the built neck does look really nice compared to the standard polycap. You see a lot more of it exposed as just part of the design, and if this was just a gray polycap, it would not look quite as cohesive as it does. So this is where I grab a E5. Did I do this wrong? Did I do this wrong? Why are they having me... They tell you either or when it comes to the parts, but they don't tell you which parts are for which form. Because I put the sticker with the permet pattern on, but they're saying take the blank chest cover and put it over. But then what about this one? Are they just supposed to overlay on top of each other? Like, I guess I could just take this piece and overlay it on the top of the sticker. But then why'd they bother printing it on the sticker if you're just gonna cover it up with a piece? Was I supposed to use... No, I wasn't supposed to use the black sticker there, because if I used the black sticker, I wouldn't have the permet detail down here. So they added extra redundant permet detail on the top of the chest, just in case, for some reason, you wanted to have a permet active Calibarn, but not use the piece that's specifically designed for it. That is just a really bizarre choice. Oh, not that big of an island? New Zealander. Recently seen a short on YouTube of a guy punching a kangaroo in the face because trying to drown his dog. Yeah, that's a classic video. That's been shared around for a long time. Kangaroos are scary. They look kind of like funky from a distance, but you get up close, and it's basically just like a really muscular anthropomorphic deer. Like, they actually look like real-life furries. It's insane. Yeah, they're supposed to overlay since the stickers extend the bottom of the chest, which the end part doesn't. Oh, hey, man, Pig, the #1 Witch from Mercury kit defender's here, finally. So far, I've been enjoying the build. There's some really interesting engineering choices that I wasn't expecting. It's been pretty cool. I was surprised by how well integrated the joints are into the body. There's a lot of times with the joints here, you kind of build the kit around the joints instead of building separate body parts and then connecting them together like I'm used to, so that's been kind of a surprise. Those things are happening. Yeah, kangaroos are scary, man. They are like, you do not mess with a kangaroo. They will ruin your day. What goes on top of that? Oh, well, that goes on the underside. And then the side pieces wrap around to hold it in, I see. I mean, I don't know if I'd say they're legit yet. Like, I want to reserve my full thoughts for when the kit's assembled, because most of the issues that I take are with the way the kit's going to feel once it's all together, but the assembly process has been interesting so far. I do like the detail on the head. Basically, everything is colored properly. The eyes, the chin, the Vulcans, the cheek guards, the vents. It's all there, and that's pretty impressive. I see some of the Witch Re-100 kits are reprinted. I mean, I know they reprint them occasionally. I haven't seen whatever's in like the newest batch of them. At least I don't think I have. It's 30. Oh god, yes, 30 is way too much for this kit. Even if this ends up being the greatest high grade ever, just given the size and simplicity of it, I would never pay 30 for this. I feel like 20 is still pushing it. They have the best shoulders and abs I've ever seen on an HG. Do I collect other things outside Gunpla? Oh yeah, I collect, I mean, my big thing is Transformers, right? Love Transformers, especially the newer generation stuff they've been doing these last few years. There are other action figure lines that I collect, but to a much smaller degree. So, I do like the McFarlane figures for DC and Spawn. Mostly for just the level of detail that they have. I like just like really cool, interesting figures that have tons of stuff going on, cool paintwork and washes and stuff. And you see a lot more from from McFarlane than a lot of other American companies. So I enjoy those quite a lot. I'm honestly not even that big of a comic book fan. I just see like a cool ass, caveman Batman or something insane like that, and I'm like, okay, you've sold me. And they're only like $20, so like, why not? And then on the Marvel side, I do actually collect Marvel Legends, but in like the most like, just not discriminatory, what's the term? I'm very picky about which Marvel Legends I buy. I generally only get like really definitive comic versions of characters that I like a lot. So I have like the Marvel Legends 20th Anniversary Captain America. I have the Doctor Strange they did a couple years back. I have the War Machine. I try to pick like really good definitive figures, but Hasbro always makes it a massive pain in the ass to get those, because anytime there's like a really nice definitive comic style version of a character that's in their classic outfit, it's always either A, a Walmart or Target exclusive that immediately sells out, or B, it's in like a 3-pack with 2 like random who gives a shit D-list villains. So they always make it really annoying to get those types of figures. Do I like any card games like Magic the Gathering? I played Magic the Gathering very briefly when I was in high school, but I didn't really get that into it. I also collected Pokemon cards for a while, but I haven't really done that in a long time either. But yeah, it's crazy with Marvel Legends how you would think that like the types of figures I like are like the super normie casual figures, the kind of figures that you would expect to be able to just like walk into Target and pick up off the shelf, but instead you walk into Target and there's like 17 copies of fucking Daredevil's girlfriend's like ex-roommate's husband, and then you look online and like that's where all the actual figures you'd want to buy are, and they're all sold out all the time. McFarlane Spawn figures are epic. Oh yeah, I love their Spawn line. I've got that like giant Violator figure they did just sitting on the corner of the shelf. I actually had to crouch him down on all fours because otherwise he was too big to fit. I enjoyed the G-Witch kits that I built, but I got over them real quick, too simple for my taste. But to be fair, I had no taste, and they helped me figure that out. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the simpler high grades. I like high grade in general because I like the smaller size and I like the variety of them. Like you can it's much easier to complete a full team as high grades because a lot of times that team exists, while with master grades you're waiting decades to get the lead Gundam, and oftentimes that's all you get. So I do like high grades a lot for that, but when it comes to the G-Witch kits, the IBO kits, some of those simpler ones, they don't really do a lot fulfilling for me. And no Dipper, I don't actively collect hentai books. I have a couple, but I haven't collected those in a long time because that was another thing that I started buying back right before COVID happened. So as soon as that happened, it was like, well, okay, I guess I'm not ordering anything from Japan for a while because now shipping prices are like 7 times what they used to be a month ago. Thoughts on MG Strike Freedom for 160? I think MG Strike Freedom for 160 is fine. I've seen people grab one before for like 130, 140, and if you're lucky enough to get it at that price, obviously go for it, but I feel like 160 is not too bad for... 160 is really not too bad for an MGEX Strike Freedom. Good thing I don't like seeds, so I don't care for the MGX Strike Freedom. I mean, I think it's really cool just as a model. I think the complexity and the engineering and the design of it is kind of incredible. Where this piece goes under there. Let me just keep track. I got kind of tangented with the action figures, and now I'm trying to remember where I was in the build, but I think I just got these side pieces to put on. The high-grade Origin GM gun cannons impress me most. Oh yeah, Origin high grades are top tier. They are some phenomenal models. If you can find the Origin RX-78, get it. It's one of the best RX-78 kits they've done. I love that kit so much. And the Zaku's great too. If you can get the Char Zaku, I think there's... They call it like the Red Comet version or something, is the newer release that has the right machine gun. Great kit. Bought a McFarlane Spawn colorway figure and its value went from 25 and released like 450 in a week. Oh, was that one of those ones where they do it in like the flat gray prototype colors? Comic Cat 104 is near, brother. We need to get back to hentai. Man, maybe I will. Like, I got most of the books that I wanted, and like... I was starting a Dojin collection at the time too. I was like, okay, I'll get a few of these. And The problem is that I was mostly just like throwing them onto an order when I just needed to add something else to make the shipping justified. But the problem is that I don't really order stuff that much from Japan anymore, so I haven't really had an opportunity to pick anything up. I love the Strike Freedom and Mighty Strike Freedom. Mighty Strike Freedom hasn't quite fully grown on me yet, but I do love the standard Strike Freedom. My issue with the Mighty is just so white. If there was some sort of secondary color on the Mighty Strike Freedom, if there was more gold, if there was more blue, I think I would have liked the look of it a lot better. What's my favorite real grade? I really like the High New Gundam. I think it's a gorgeous model, but I think most of the recent real grades they've done have been really, 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 really good kits. Whether it's the Epion, the Impulse, the Crossbone, the God Gundam, they're just absolute top-tier models and some of the best products that Bandai puts out nowadays. Which mold do I prefer, Revive Zaku Origin? I've not built my Revive Zaku yet. It's sitting on the top of my backlog. It wasn't a huge priority for me. In fact, I was almost considering selling it out of my backlog just because I love the Origin kit so much, but I decided, hey, I do have a lot of different RX-78s. It's kind of weird that I only have one Char Zaku, so maybe now some of my other RX-78s will have a Zaku to go square off against. So that's mostly why I still have it, and I just wanted to try it for the sake of the channel, you know? Just see how the Revive Zaku is, but I have a feeling that while it is probably going to be a good kit, I'm still going to personally prefer the Origin kit because of the extra detail. So this just goes around the side. Them Origin HGs are really good. Have some of the Southern Cross Zaku. Yeah, they're great. White Boy Kira and his White Mighty. Yeah, it's a little. I've seen some really nice. Almost every time I see like someone's like custom paint job or even like a digibash of like what a better paint job would look on it, it almost always looks better than the original colors. I really like how they designed the shoulder joints here, where they basically, because it's got that like 90-degree angle ball joint, you get a little bit of upward rotation, a little bit of forward, so it's kind of the best of both worlds between the swing forward and swing up polycaps. Really clever construction. And I feel like a lot of the engineering of this kit is facilitated by the design. Like the way that a lot of these parts go together is only possible because of how the Calibarn looks. So I think a lot of the engineering that goes into this isn't really going to be applicable to other Gundam kits in the future, because the way that a lot of these parts go together, you couldn't really design like an RX-78 to be assembled this way. It is starting to look really good. I do quite like it. They perfected the polycapless shoulder system. Yeah, it looks really good so far. I want to see how much range it actually has once I get the arms on. My favorite HG kit? My favorite HG kit's the Destiny Gundam. We already talked about it earlier today. Crazy accessory count, tons of effect parts, great articulation, great color separation, great proportions, great detail. It basically perfects every single thing a high grade could possibly want to be. The only high grade that I've seen that could meet or exceed it is the Infinite Justice, and I haven't built that one yet, but I feel like if I built the Infinite Justice, I would probably like them about equally. Only problem with the Revive Zaku is the ball joints and the forearms get really loose to the point of cement to them. Yeah, that if you play with the kit a ton, that can happen. Origin HGGM is leaps and bounds better than any Origin HGM or any other HGGM. Yeah, I think it is. It's actually, I believe it uses a lot of parts that are like shared with the Origin RX-78, and that's a really phenomenal kit. That's true for most Freedoms though. Like I saw an MG Freedom painted with the Calamity color scheme. Oh yeah, like I've seen a lot of really, really cool color schemes on the Freedom. SNAA is making a new 144th that has Destiny-esque wings. Yeah, I saw that. I don't quite like the design as much as the first one they did, but it looks pretty alright. So... oh, we're already done with the torso. So that is the torso. So it's got like a mid rotation side to side. Got a little bit of back and a lot of forward. The way that the joint's designed here, let me... boom. So basically there's like more to this inner ab part than what you can see here. So when you push it forwards, instead of there being a gap, you just see more of the gray part. That's really cool. Very nice. As someone who built Infinite Justice, I prefer the Destiny. See, I love the design of the Infinite Justice, and I love the design of the Destiny, so I feel like that would push them both up pretty high for me. But just going off stuff like the effect parts, I could see why the Destiny would be more attractive. I saw this in my comments before, but it's funny how the HD Destiny and Calrea get all their effect parts as standard, while the Strike Freedom Cries and P Bandai. Yeah, honestly, I can't believe the Calrea got that many effect parts standard. That is such a crazy kit. I cannot wait to build that thing. It's going to be so cool. And not only that, you get all the effect parts and all the gold trim is molded in. Like, what a just absolute top level kit. I'm really amazed to see it has that level of care put into it. Since the rest of the Seed Freedom line is great, but they always seem to be putting more love into the Gundams than the non-Gundam mobile suits. Like, if you look at the Gion or the Gelgoog, their backpacks are basically just one color. Like, they have all these extra stickers you need for the trim and the details, so it kind of seems like they're not putting as much effort into those as they are the Gundams. But then you have the Calrea, where they just go absolutely all out. And maybe it's because it's the main villain suit. But either way, whatever reason they're doing it for, I'm glad it happened because that kit looks phenomenal. My OCD demands I get the rest of the Southern Cross Sakus, my wallet protest. Yeah, I cannot justify getting the Southern Cross Sakus because I don't want to build 5 almost identical mobile suits. I'm probably just going to pick the one I like the weapons of the best and just build that one. Objectively, HD Origin GM is better than the Gundam since it's got the V on the crotch with the color separated part. I think it does. I don't know. Let me check my GM cannon. Yes, it does. Okay. Yeah, you're right. It does have the color separated chevron. That's pretty neat. I didn't remember that, but yeah. Build 5 identical MMS and do their camo decals. Oh, yeah, that's the worst part. Is basically the only meaningful differences is from the camo, which is literally just stickers. So it's like, why are these even 5 separate kits? It could have been. They could have done 2 2-in-1s and then 1 for the commander. They could have done a 5-pack. There's so many better ways they could have handled the Southern Cross team than 5 separate kits that are all slightly different. Love watching the recent Gundam live stream. The tournament winner of the build contest was drooling all over the new Gunpla. Yeah, I think I can't remember if I saw the whole stream in full or if I just saw clips from it, but I know there was definitely a lot of excitement over some of those kits. Calrea laughs at sleeves kits, nice wrist stickers, nerd. Yeah, exactly. Like, man, we need new kits of, honestly, man, any new Sinanju at this point. Like, they gave us I don't even want to call it a 1.5. It's like a 1.1 of the Sinanju Stein narrative version that has the correct sleeves markings. Do that for the Sinanju. Just give us the regular Master Grade Sinanju is a pretty great kit. It just has really annoying stickers for the sleeve markings. So just retool it with the proper color separation and re-release the kit. People will buy it. People will rebuy it. I'd buy one. They're clearly okay with doing those types of minor updates to kits now. So just do it. You know, tie it in with the MGX Strike Freedom, like, hey, or not MGX Strike Freedom, MGX Unicorn, like, hey, here's your new Unicorn kit for the 2020s. Here's your new Sinanju kit for the 2020s. Black Knight Calrea versus Black Knight and his Aura Battler Swarth Lamau. That'd be fun in SRW. Oh, we are so getting Seed Freedom in the next SRW. That is going to be like one of the frontline series. It's going to be Witcher Mercury and it's going to be Seed Freedom. And they're probably going to completely forget about Hathaway. GM Cannon's great, but it's one of those builds where I love the figure, but I kind of hate the build. I thought the GM Cannon was a perfectly fine build. I wasn't really bothered by it. TF are so good, but the price tags and their toys are kind of too much right now. Yeah, I have a feeling, Christian, that you might be... You're talking about things that I talked about 15 minutes ago, so I'm assuming you're probably a little behind on the stream. But yeah, I think the Legacy line's been a little bit hit or miss. There's a lot of times where they've done a character that I really wanted, but the figure itself was kind of eh. Like, I was really excited when they announced they were going to do Bludgeon, and then I saw the figure, and it was just a Tarn recolor, and I was like, that's kind of lame. But then sometimes they do stuff that's really, really cool, like the Skyquake. That was like the Prime G1 fusion. So it can be hit or miss, but a lot of times they tend to hit. TFs are kind of expensive. They're like 20, 30 for like the Deluxes and Voyagers, and then 50 for a leader. The logic between what gets in the Deluxe Voyager leader slots is kind of all over the place, because back in my day when I was a kid, it was all about size. You had the small figures, the medium figures, and the large figures. But now you get leaders that are like a Voyager with a couple weapons, or like engineering, where like, oh, Blitzwing is basically a Voyager, but we stuck these really gaudy-ass looking missile pods on him, so he's a leader class now. So they do funky stuff like that, but prices is usually the least of my issue with Transformers. My usual problem with them is the problem I have with the Marvel Legends as well, where they'll do really cool Transformers figures, and there'll be some sort of exclusive that sells out immediately. Deluxe class now costs more than a Voyager when I started collecting, so I understand inflation, but sometimes too much. So I looked that up, and it's actually not entirely... It's not entirely unreasonable, because if you look at the Deluxe price was like... I don't remember what two periods I compared, but from then to now, the inflation rate actually is high enough that like a $10 to $15 figure back then would actually be around $20, $22 right now. So they have been pushing the price up a little bit, but when you factor in for inflation, it's not as high as you would think. It's one of the few things where the recent price creeps have actually genuinely kind of matched with inflation. Duel's shield is not compatible to Strike. Duel's arms use tabs. Strike shield uses pegs. It's weird that they wouldn't make them compatible. Hathaway in a new game would just be the same as Hathaway in V, but they replaced the ugly old character designs in the Katoki Jigen Kasi with the better movie ones. Yeah, I feel like they would probably wait for like the year that the new movie comes out, and then they would just have Hathaway as like a reprising series. Because like Hathaway's been like what one of the four like modern HD SRWs, so I could see them adding another one. Considering the toyetic glossy ABS plastic, no panel lines, and the insane amount of hollow parts and other shit. I'm assuming you're talking about Transformers, because yeah, it's weird because in some ways the quality's gone down and in some it's gone up. Like we got ankle pivots now on basically everything. Every Optimus Prime figure has a removable matrix gimmick, which is insane. You know, I remember I got the Battle Blades Optimus in 2010 and I was like, whoa, this Optimus Prime has a removable matrix. That's such a crazy feature. We'll never see something like that again. And now it's just standard. Like every single Optimus Prime figure from the last 5 years has a removable matrix. Even that G1 Toy Style one they just did. Thank God I'm not into Transformers. Dude, Transformers is a huge money sink. They're awesome, but it's a money sink for sure. I really like the retro Soundwave Transformers figure. Is that like the G1 figure that they did in the more cartoon style colors? I'm not a huge fan of those because they've been doing this thing recently where they take the G1 toy and they re-release it with like, instead of the chrome parts, they'll use like a flat gray and they'll try to do like more show accurate colors. But that just feels like it's in a really weird spot to me, because if I'm buying a reissue, I want the original figure as it originally was, and if I want something more anime or cartoon accurate, I'd buy a modern figure. So I feel like what they're doing right now with those reissues is kind of a weird middle ground. I think the only thing that justifies a Transformer purchase would be that they're fully built with paint application to hardware. Other than that, I don't feel inclined to get in them again. Oh yeah, they're good figures, but I don't buy a ton of them nowadays because I kind of have most of the characters that I wanted to get. Like I picked up the Nemesis Bridge set from Takara Tomy, and that pretty much finished up my Decepticons. My Autobots are mostly fine. There's a few guys like Ironhide and Ratchet that I want to pick up, but I mostly got what I need. Now it's just as far as like kind of ancillary characters that I like. Like if they did a new Drift, I'd probably pick it up. I'd like to see a better Bludgeon than the one they made. I'd like to see... I can't remember if they did a Lockdown or not. I think they might have did a Lockdown recently, but it was kind of weird looking, so I didn't get it. I've not tried the Yellow Park kits. It was for the 40th anniversary. It was meant to look like the original figures from the first line. I might not have seen that then, because I saw I know I saw that Optimus Prime that they did where it was designed to look like the G1 toy. I don't remember seeing a Soundwave like that. I don't have a Rodimus Prime, but I do have the Studio Series Hot Rod. Bandai made Zeus silhouette parts for the Akatsuki set. They'll always sell parts separately. I suppose, yeah. Arms. Okay. You just grab a sip of water first. If you think about Witch from Mercury's kit line, it's just a TF toy line, half the line's remolds and alternate colors. I mean, that's kind of Gundam in general, but I feel like Witch from Mercury didn't have a ton of recolors and remolds, right? Like, I feel like relative to a lot of other Gundam series, it seemed like Witch from Mercury was fairly selective about mostly making unique models. Like what we had the Delonza Soul, the Demi Garrison, I think it was. I can't remember if those were retail or not. I think they were retail. Or no, Demi Garrison wasn't retail, but the Zowart Heavy was. And there was the two versions of the regular Delanza, the Guel colors and the standard. And there was the Demi Trainer and then the Choo Choo Demi. But like for the most part, they didn't do as many variants as I feel like they normally do. Oh hey Riku, welcome to the stream. There's a third-party drift that turns into the car from Initial D. I think I saw that one. There's some really... That's the real dangerous part about collecting Transformers, right? Like, you think the Hasbro figures are expensive. You think the Hasbro figures are a dangerous money sink. Bro, don't look up the third-party figures. Those things are insane. They look incredible. The engineering is phenomenal. They kind of kick the ass of anything that Hasbro's ever made, and they're also like $150 a pop. So... That's the dangerous path to go down with Transformers collecting, is once you start getting into the third-party figures, that is when they really Thanos snap your wallet. Recolors exclusively for grunts. Yeah, like compared to... Like even IBO, I feel, had more recolors than Witch from Mercury did. Remember drooling over the TF catalogs as a kid? Oh yeah, I grew up past like the catalog era, like I was like 2000s, but still... Transformers always was a big part of my childhood. Witch from Mercury uses a lot of CAD mold remolding, but not physical remolding. All the Sleda MS use new runners despite having similar joints. Yeah, that's something... That sounds pretty accurate. Anyways, let's get on to these arms. I don't want to get too tangented. Kind of crazy that half the build is just on 2 pages. Like, once you get to the end of this page, we've already got the entire upper body done. The shoulder piece. In terms of recolors, I'd say Double O is the most... Yeah, absolutely. Double O went completely wild with the variants, and my personal theory is that I 100% blame high-grade Double O for premium Bandai, because I think Bandai got burned hard by a lot of those kits, and that's why they started making so many of those variants premium Bandai, because they put out a line where there were four lead Gundams in the second season. You had the Double O, the Kyrios, the Arios, not Kyrios and Arios. You had the Double O, the Arios, the Cherubim, and the Ceravi. Every single one of those had at least 3 versions, all of which were at retail. Nobody was buying all 3 of those. People were picking and choosing their favorites. Tons of those were getting left on the shelves. And then you had the grunt suits where each one had at least 3 variants. You know, you had like Jinx Outlaws colors, Jinx 3. You had Flag, Overflag, the Graham flag. There was so many variants to those. Almost every single kit had at least 1 variant, and it was just too much. It was too much. They were clogging up stores. People were not buying some of them. Look at how few of the Double O kits actually get reprinted. They reprint the main sets of the Gundams, they'll reprint the main forms of the grunt suits, and then like half the line just never gets reprinted because it's ridiculous to be trying to juggle that many different versions of that many kits. So because I think they went too far overboard with the Double O line, they ended up kind of overcorrecting into premium Bandai a little bit. G-Witch kits are efficient builds, the least amount of parts needed for the most results. The products were definitely made for the final product in mind. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that style of construction, but the engineering here is pretty impressive regardless. A20, so that's going to be the yellow vents. Tier and ground, space, tier... No, that's not even all of them. It's tier and ground, tier and space, tier and commander, Soma's tier and Tazoi, and then Siergi's tier and Tazoi. There's a stupid amount of Tierans, and so many of them did not need to be separate kits. So far, the only P Bandai I've been interested in is the Eco models that are mostly black. Those aren't P Bandai, those are like event exclusives. They bring those around to different Comic Cons and stuff. Days when HGXia Repair 1, Repair 2. Okay, well, I don't think HGXia never got a Repair 1. They didn't do a Repair 1, just the R2. Estrella and Estrella Type F. Yeah, that was a big thing too. Like, Witch from Mercury is the first time that the main Gundam from the companion manga to the anime was not retail. Because you look back at basically all of HG history, and the Red Frame Estrella was retail, the Estrella was retail, the lead kits from the Build Fighters mangas were retail, the Astaroth from IBO was retail. You know, they always would make that lead Gundam or that main attraction kit from the new show. They would make that side story mecha part of the main retail line. And then we got the Lefrith. What was it called? Lefrith? Why am I blanking on the name of the Vanitas Heart version of the Lefrith? Lefrith Jew. The Lefrith Jew was Premium Bandai, which really it shouldn't have been. It could have been retail, but that's just how their management of the lines kind of shifted. So they're so extreme towards Premium Bandai variants now that even the lead Gundam of the side story manga to the show is no longer safe. Jew being pre-Bandai gives me agony. Yeah, it should not have been P-Bandai. I think the Tieran's the best design from 00. Tieran is a really cool design. EcoPla are also available at Gundam Base. Yeah, most of their event kits are nowadays. They no longer make specifically event kits. They officially classify them as like event/Gundam Base exclusive, and they sell them both ways. They also sell them on the P-Bandai web shop in foreign countries like the US. First kit was the HGXia. It was a fun build, and I learned about Repair 2. I was kicking myself because it was cooler. Yeah. That's the 00 experience, is building a model and then realizing there was a better version of it that whole time. It took me like a week to understand which version of the 00 Riser I was supposed to buy. I was like, oh, there's the designer colors one, but that doesn't look like it comes with quite as much stuff as this other version, but then there's the GN Sword 3, but there's also these two separate releases of them, and then there's the movie one called the Condenser Type, but the differences between the Condenser Type and the normal were so minor that I couldn't even tell what was different from the basic stock photos. It was a mess, and having been a newcomer to the hobby at that time, I understand the beginner experience of looking into the 00 line, and it was just a bloated clusterfuck. Like, it might be appealing as like a hardcore fan to have a billion versions of every kit at retail, but from a retailer who has to actually carry those kits standpoint, from a beginner who just wants the definitive version of their favorite Gundam standpoint, it is not an optimal situation. Is the RG Unicorn good? RG Unicorn's fine. It's about as good as you're going to get for a 1/144th Unicorn. They massively overcompensated and just cranked down the tension on all the joints to make it way tighter than it needed to be, but as long as you're really, really careful with it, it's fine. The Jew is a war crime. I haven't built mine because I've yet to get metallic purple paint soon. Have I seen all the upcoming HG bootlegs? Insane, almost every day there's a new one coming out, and some of them are P-Bandai. I see a few of them. I don't keep track of every bootleg because the kits that are just straight bootlegs of Bandai models really don't interest me that much compared to the ones that are either original or at least add something different to the model. Entry grade Law Gundam moment with a limited one is better than the retail. Is that the G3 colors? I don't know if that one's really better. It's just a different color scheme, right? I mean, I guess if you prefer that color scheme, it's better. Oh, hey, Matt. Welcome to the stream. I can see myself eventually having hundreds of Gunpla, but probably not the same model over and over. Some of the Witch from Mercury kits need to be bought more than once to get all the configurations. Yeah, you have, like, the different permit scores and stuff. All right, let's just apply this sticker over and over and over. Oh, it comes with different accessories. Lama Times is a great place for news. Yeah, I usually just... I know so many people that are in various parts of the hobby that I usually get filled in on everything pretty quick. I just watch Twitter, I watch Discord, I watch, like, Bandai's official website. The third-party stuff can be kind of hard to keep track of sometimes, but I know people that are in on that, and they sort of fill me in. Entry-grade Law Gundam has different colors and more weapons, making the basic loadout more interesting for how many options it has to play with. Okay, I see. I didn't really pay attention to that version of the Law Gundam because I assumed it was just the same thing but in different colors. By the way, they're actually still showing off new models for Gundam Breaker 4. So they showed and they did like a developer live stream earlier this morning, or I guess late last night their time. And they showed the Tieran Zoe, they showed the Blazing Gundam, and they showed the SD Command Gundam? No, the Captain Gundam. So that was kind of cool. I'm surprised they're still showing stuff off, because I thought when they updated their website, that was the last of it. And when they said, like, more kits coming soon, I assumed they were talking about the DLC, but it turns out that they are still very much announcing new kits from GB4. So whatever your pie-in-the-sky hopes for new kits to be added to GB4, there's always a possibility they can get in. Nothing's impossible. Got an order of kits yesterday: the Cublay, the Curios, the Helios. Helios? Oh, Helios from Build Fighters, yeah, or Breaker Battlelog. And the MG Gyaradoga in there. Oh yeah, MG Gyaradoga is an awesome kit. I love that model. The worst kit I've ever built. You know, actually, no, I do know what my worst kit I've ever built. Probably the worst thing I've ever built was the high-grade fighting action Tallgeese 3. Any of the 90s kids out there will know exactly what that model is and why it's a piece of hot garbage. But basically, it's a no-grade Tallgeese that's just completely white plastic because you're supposed to paint it in the colors of the 1, 2, or 3. And it's just got awful part fitment. The left and right halves of the limbs, when you tab them together, instead of fitting like this, the pegs were actually misaligned, so they would fit like this. The parts physically did not align with each other. It was horrendously bad. The reprinting the GM, nice. I love that kit. That is honestly one of my favorite HGs ever. It's not as good as the Destiny, but just in terms of pure enjoyment, it's such a sleek model. It's so fun to pose. It looks incredible. Love that model. Really like the MG Astray Red Frame. Good choice for first MG. I think that was actually my first... Wait, was that my first Master Grade? No. It was the first Master Grade I ordered, but I got impatient waiting for it to come from Japan, so I ordered a Blitz Gundam from America, and that was my technical first. Oh wait, no. No, it was the other way around. I ordered a Blitz Gundam first. That was going to be my first Master Grade, but I got impatient waiting for it, so I bought a MG Astray from America, and I think that was my first Master Grade. Won't be surprised if all the Breaker Battlelog kits are added to Breaker 4. It's very likely because a lot of the cast from that anime is... A lot of the cast from the Breaker Battlelog anime are going to be appearing in the game story mode. Would hope for the Breaker Mobile originals like the Arius and Groundsel. Yeah, I think anything related to Breaker Battlelog is pretty likely. Love GM Advisor, but I'm not too into the Jim partly because it's a build variant, not a canon one, but at the same time, it has a bit head. Yeah, it's cool as just like a stylized reimagining of the GM. Like, I see it in line with something like the Gundam Yokohama version, where it's just a redesign of the GM. It's really sleek, it's got a really great look to it. I love the design. I believe Naoki did that one, actually. It's just a really, really good looking kit. I have that one too. I thought the misaligned leg from my coming. Nope, that's just how it's molded. It is a really janky ass kit. Did I denub these? I think I denubbed these. I think I did. Okay, well, it is what it is. Maybe I'll get it repainted since the red is my favorite. Oh, I mean, that kit would look great in basically any color scheme. They also need to reprint the guard frame. I built the guard frame. It was okay. I didn't like it nearly as much as the GM. See, I don't like Naoki much. He did a lot of the build. Yeah, Naoki did a lot of the Build Fighters kits. The thing with Naoki is he makes good designs, but not great designs and no bad designs. You know, that's actually a pretty accurate way to describe him. He gets the Gundam aesthetic. He nails it pretty much every time, but he never does anything super crazy. Hoping to get my hands on the Zagok mass production type and Musha Mark II master grades in the future. Both pretty solid choices. And then a whole bunch of others. It's like the base standard, nothing more. Yeah, exactly. He gets the aesthetic, he gets the assignment, but he doesn't like over what's the word I'm looking for? He doesn't overachieve. He's not an overachiever. He does exactly what he's told to. Come to think of it, we still don't have an HD Revived Tallgeese and Wing Zero Custom. I mean, our equivalents to those are the real grades. The real grade is kind of... Getting a real grade is like sort of equivalent to getting a high grade Revive in Bandai's eyes. So like, instead of giving us a high grade for the Epion, they give us a real grade. They did the same for the Wing Zero Custom, the Tallgeese. If there's a new kit of a certain mobile suit at a certain scale, Bandai generally considers that good enough. So they see them as sort of equivalent in that sense. Like the Gym Dominance, it's a gym with a modern aesthetic, and that's kind of it. Yeah, and like he gets the aesthetic. I think it looks great, but it's definitely not anything like super crazy, you know, like groundbreaking or anything. I think that's fair, IMO. RG Tallgeese ain't bad. RG Tallgeese is pretty good. The only thing I don't like about the RG Tallgeese is the way the legs are shaped. Because the Tallgeese has this very distinctive kind of, like, European soldier, like, pantaloon, where it's got, like, the poofy, thick thighs, and then the really narrow shins. But the real grade has, like, these weird tree trunk legs, where from the thigh all the way down to the ankles, it's basically the same width, and it looks kind of awkward. I'm not a big fan of how the legs look on that kit. That aside, though, it's a perfectly fine model. Toro, Serpent, Ares, and Virgo are the only major grunts from Wing that don't have modern HDs. Yeah. And I think it's going to be a while before, if ever, we actually get most of the Wing grunts. They did the Leo, they did the Maganak, and I feel like that's kind of the most we can expect. Ares and Taurus would be nice, but I can't really see Bandai doing those. A lot of Okawara and Kentucky stuff in your top 10. Who did the GM3 again? I think that was... I don't remember who did the GM3. Tallgeese has some straight cylinder legs. Yeah, it looks really weird. I much prefer the way the Master Grade looks in that regard. And of course, they both had the problem of being the EW design, so they have that really flat, just really bland color scheme where they took all the black parts and they made them light gray. And that looks so dull. I'm really not a fan of the EW colors at all. The extra little yellow bits are fine, but the monochrome gray scaling of the color scheme just looks so flat. It's dull. I don't like it. I do like the Tallgeese Flugel, though. That's kind of a cool variant. Funnily enough, I think the Tallgeese looks better with the Wing Zero wings, and I think the wings look better on the Tallgeese than they do on the Wing Zero. It's a weird like kit bashing of two kits, but it somehow manages to look better than either of them. Sayama designed the GM3. Okay. Possible hot take, but I don't like Ippei designs because they're way too distinct and usually match with nothing they're put with. Yeah, Ippei's really got his own look. You can always immediately tell when something was made by Ippei. I think he's at his strongest when he's making everything in the series, so if it's like a Moon Gundam situation, at least then there's like a lot of like clear visual continuity between them. Or in which for Mercury there was a There was kind of a justification for there being a lot of stylistic differences between the mechs because they were meant to be made by different companies. I wanted to note the awesome HGC Maganac is the only Maganac kit, period. Yes, it is. And the only other Leo is the dogshit LM kit. Yep. Yep, that is true. For me, the HGs I'd love to see the most, and this is pretty much due to nostalgia for Battle Assault, is the Queen Manson, the Psycho Mark III, and the Hydra. Yeah, I really want to see them do a Hydra. That is my... Definitely was right from the get-go was one of my most wanted G-Unit kits right next to the Asclepius, so now that they've done the Asclepius, I'm basically just waiting for Hydra. Ipe fans should watch Synduality. I've not seen Synduality. The mechs look okay. They're kind of like a cyberpunk Sakura Wars is the best way I can describe how they look, but I've not... I think I'm... Did I even watch one episode of it? I honestly can't remember. I think I might have, like, downloaded an episode with the intent to watch it, and I just never did. It didn't pull me in. Like, there's no, like, hook that was like, oh, this is so exciting, this is so cool, this is so interesting. It just kind of looked like a, kind of sci-fi show. What a crime we have no Zaku 4. Dude, we don't even have a modern Zaku 3. Like, our one Zaku 3 kit is from 1999. Color palettes like Cyberpunk Edge Runners? Yeah, for sure. For a Gundam named Wing, the Gundam Wing doesn't really have that much of a wing. Oh no, it's got wings. In fact, at the time that it came out, there weren't really a lot of Gundams that had full-on wings, so the name made a lot more sense back then. Like, nowadays, with stuff like the Freedom and the Destiny, the Wing Gundam's wings look kind of unremarkable, but in 1995, you have to remember, the only other Gundams that had anything close to wings were the Zeta Gundam, which had, like, this kind of Delta Wing backpack. And that was basically it. There were a couple suits from G Gundam that had, like kind of goofy angel wings or something, but that was basically it as far as Gundams with wings. So, at the time, calling it the Wing Gundam was actually pretty fair. Witch from Mercury designs feel weird. They don't really feel like they were designed in the same universe. Yeah, I'm not really big on the Witch from Mercury designs in general. I get the reasoning with them being the different companies, and I think that that's a fair reason for them to look the way they do. It's just that outside of a couple exceptions like the Calibarn, and I mean literally a couple, there's maybe like 4 mobile suits from Witch from Mercury that I actually like, and this is one of them. But a lot of them, they don't really stick with me. It's like Iron-Blooded Orphans. Everything in Iron-Blooded Orphans looks fine. I see it on screen, I like it, I don't hate... It doesn't offend my eyes to look at it, but after finishing the show and doing something else for a while and letting it kind of clear out of my head a bit, none of them stick with me. There's nothing from IBO where I'm like, oh man, I need to have a kit of that. It's just kind of, they're all just kind of fine. And I feel a little bit similar to that with Witch from Mercury. The F91 had, I guess the F91 kind of had the shoulder wings, but even that's kind of a stretch. In Duality is Ipe the show, even the background tech has his color palette and shit. Nice. It was his debut show, plus some Ipe G Reco stuff is very distinct. Was that his debut show? I thought Ipe worked on some other stuff before Reco. Like, I know it was his debut to Gundam, but I think he worked on... Wasn't it like some... No, like, I guess I was going to say like some Sega game he did, but I think that was post Reco. And I can't remember... I think Moon Gundam was post Reco as well. Let me see. I have a Moon Gundam poster in my room, and the date says 2018, so I guess that was after... I guess that was well after Reco. Ray Earth is real. Yes, it is. There is a new Ray Earth anime coming up. That's pretty crazy. Was not expecting to see that this year. I'm still looking forward to the Grendizer anime, though. Grendizer anime and the Sentai Doshikoshi or whatever it's called. The Boys Meets Power Rangers show. On quite a few Witch from Mercury kits. The one I built most recently is Darabalde. Darabalde is one of the ones that I want to pick up. Darabalde is one. Gun Volva. I've already got a Demi Barding in my backlog, and that's kind of it. Nothing from IBO was like the Genoese, the goat of Age. Age had some really cool designs, and I liked the Age Gundams with all their different equipment packs, and also the like 40-some equipment packs that were exclusive to like a 3DS game or something. I don't even remember what they're from specifically, but there's so many Age wares that you never even see in the anime. G Gundam Gun Plus started kind of stand out from the rest I know they're really old, but I'm excited to try and build some of them. Well, they are gradually getting updated now. We got high grades for the Maxter and not the Dragon. We got the Maxter and the Rose. They're probably going to do the Dragon and Bolt at sometime soon. Sentai Doshikaki. Oh, it just finished its run for S1. I thought it hadn't even started airing yet. Oh, I'll have to get caught up on that yet. I liked the manga a lot. Ippei did solely a Star Paradox. Okay, that might have been what I saw him in. Because I remember him being with some sort of video game. What's a kit that you like that was otherwise branded as a bad kit? Mine was the G-Self. It sounds bad. I thought the G-Self Perfect Pack was okay. Although that's generally the one that people tend to like a bit more. As far as kits that generally get branded as bad, I feel like most of the time it's honestly pretty accurate. I would say... Like, what are, like, the big mainstream bad kits are, like, RG Sinanju, I kind of agree with that one. RG Zeta, I definitely agree with that one. MG Victory, I agree with that one. MG Unicorn, I agree with that one. Like, most of the generally disliked kits, I feel like the community assessment on them is pretty accurate. I mean, the Method isn't really hated. People just don't pay attention to it because it's an old kit. Those are from a mobile... I don't think they were from a mobile game. This was from like 2010, 2011. There weren't really a lot of mobile games back then. Really like the Master Gundam. Reminds me of fusion of a Gundam and base from Mega Man. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I guess that's kind of one of my bigger hot takes with Gundam is I don't like the Master Gundam. I really, really don't like that design. I don't like the weird big head with the goofy ears on it. I like Master Asia as a character. He's cool. And like the way the Gundam fights is cool, but I do not like the actual design itself. HGC Zeta Original. That's a good answer. That kid's the best Zeta. I mean, I've seen your arguments for it. It's pretty compelling. MG Victor V2, because I just got the V2 Assault Buster for a pretty penny. The V2, I don't see as much hate for as the Victory, but it's still got some issues. If you just want a really cool display piece, though, it's probably going to be fine. I really need to get onto this build, so I need to like lock in and focus on this so I can actually finish it this stream, because I don't want to drag this kit out for multiple streams like I did with some of the others. This should be a one stream kit, and we're already like 2 hours in, and I've built a torso and a head. The 172 Macross are hated, and I have to agree with the community assessment. Yeah, some kits. People like to be like, oh, well, this kit's actually overhated, but there's some models that just genuinely deserve the reaction that they get. Well deserved. It was a PSP game where all the age wares are from. Okay. That makes sense. That sounds accurate for the era. Re-100s, I love... Oh, dude, no one hates Re-100s. Re-100s are awesome. Anyone that says Re-100s are bad is shit taste. Those are fantastic hits. The kid I got mentioned, often see mentioned is really bad Tristan. Yeah, and well-deserved. HG Tristan is crap. It's also the context of how it was released, too. Like, the fact that they thought they could get away with taking a 20-year-old, 15-year-old model at the time and just very lightly changing it and charging normal HG prices for it, and that people would actually buy it. Thankfully, very few people actually bought it, so they didn't exactly get away with it, and it was an important learning lesson for them, because from that point onward, we've never seen them reuse an older mold without at least making some small improvements to it. Even for molds that really aren't that bad, they still try to improve them where they can. Like, post Tristan is where we started to see stuff like the retooling of ball-jointed hips to universals when they get reused. So, for example, the Jigen Blastmaster uses the Jigen mold, but they retool the hips to give them universal joints. The Sinanju Stein narrative version reuses the Sinanju mold, but they give it universal hips, even though it's the same original mold. So they really learned a lot from the Tristan in regards to updating their older kits. So while the Tristan itself kind of sucked, we ultimately benefited from it in the long run. There's a ton of Age suits from the show that just didn't get kits. Yeah, Age's line was extensive in numbers, but not comprehensive in terms of what actually appeared in the show. Tristan's not even a minor retool. It reused one runner. Yeah, it's almost more like an M1 Astray situation where they intentionally tried to engineer it like an old kit. Re-100s are really expensive. Yes, they are, because Bandai refuses to print them. They reprint those things almost never, and when they do, it's only a couple of the kits. They never reprint enough of them. They always get bought up by scalpers. For years, they didn't reprint them at all, and then they did a production run as a Gundam-based exclusive in the middle of COVID, so they basically immediately evaporated. Bandai really, for whatever reason, Bandai doesn't like Re-100 being part of their active selection of kits that are available at retail. They always do it as like a special reprint thing. Non-design narrative costume seems to be the best version of the mold to date, with the actual color separated sleeves. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Sinanju Stein narrative design because I don't like the off-white gray that they use instead of the pure white on the Verka, but it is pretty cool that they updated the sleeves markings on it. Let's see. Arms. Both an integral part of the Calibarn and a Nintendo game that no one remembers. I think I paid full price for ARMS when I first bought my Switch. And I played it for like 45 minutes. If you're talking about the Sentinel Armanius, I'm in the process of finishing it. I've built most of the parts for the alternate form, but I haven't built all of them yet. More like Re-100's got their prices jacked up with new reprints, and MGs will get hit with that eventually. Yeah, everything's going up. It all started back in what, 2018, when they stopped including the MSRP on the barcode for the kits. Issues 100s are usually bought if people want a centerpiece or something. Yeah, but the whole point of the Re-100s is they're like a companion to your centerpiece. Like you buy your you know, like your Master Raid F91 2.0 as your centerpiece kit, and then you get a Re-100 Big Nagina to go with it. They're like one and the other, you know, Alex 2.0 and the Zaku FC. HD Sinanju Stein is my first. I think it's really good. Yeah, the HD Sinanju Stein's a really good model. And yeah, exactly like that cat said, a lot of them were to pair with a Master Grade. A lot of kids didn't know that G Gundam was on the TV at the same time as Wing. You just had to stay up past midnight. Yeah, a lot of the time slots for some of those shows back then was pretty whack. I've been more interested in those niche, weird old HGUC kits. They were so unique and added flavor to the line. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool oddball stuff in the HGUC line. Fortunately, we still get those to this day. Like, it doesn't happen often just because Bandai likes to pretend HGUC doesn't exist, but we still get stuff occasionally like the Boundock or the Bolinoic Saman, where it's just this really crazy out there design, and that's one of the things that I love about high grades. You still get to see that kind of stuff. Making the MSRP into the box was stupid, something only a Japanese man could do. Yeah, like, I get it kind of backed them into a corner, but it was still nice to see like a point of reference for how much the kit cost when it came out. Even for Japan, the call of inflation and economic issues is real. Oh, dude, especially for Japan. Their yen is just abysmal right now, and has been for years, to the point where I'm kind of wondering how they're even still alive as a country. Like, man, I didn't think a country could survive their economy being that screwed for that long. Was Zaku 2FZ that unpopular? I mean, it's more a matter of, it's, at the end of the day, yes, it's from War in the Pocket, and War in the Pocket fans like having Bernie Zaku, but when you really step back and look at it, it's just another basic-ass Zaku 2. And, like, from a normal casual builder standpoint, it's like, why do we need 3 different Zaku 2s? You know, we got the Zaku 2, the Zaku 2F2, the Zaku 2FZ. Yeah, they're from very specific different shows, but when you look at like them like holistically, they're kind of all the same thing. They're just a basic Zaku grunt. You know, there's nothing really super special about them. Any recommendations for my next HG? I'd say Origin RX-78 is a good one to go with if you don't have it yet. We talked a lot about the Revived Destiny and Infinite Justice earlier. Those are both great kits. Can't go wrong with either of those. And then, of course, the obligatory Moon Gundam recommendation. Speaking of, I still need to build my Moon Gundam. I know it's funny to say that like right after recommending it, but it's such a safe recommendation because basically everyone likes it, but I haven't actually built my own Moon Gundam yet. It's still sitting in my backlog, and it's been there since like 2019. Of the basic ass Zaku-2s, I think the FZ is the ugliest as well. It's oddly toyified. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the FZ as a design. I just like it because I love War in the Pocket. These days, buying in JPY is very advantageous. Yeah, not for the Japanese people though, true. MG-only collectors I know way more Western builders than Asian ones. Yeah, it's a very common sentiment over here. Asians prefer smaller kits because they have smaller... Yeah, you know, everything's smaller over there. They got smaller apartments. They've got smaller budgets. They've got smaller stores. It's got to be smaller, you know? Zeta Gundam was a great time to see... Oh, dude, Zeta and Double Zeta had some of my favorite mobile suit designs of all time. Everything was, like, just completely unhinged and insane. I loved all of it. It's one of the few Gundam series where I don't... Almost every single design from Zeta and Double Zeta I like to some degree. They really nailed it. Kind of mad on US retailers since 1,000 yen is worth around $5, but they still consider around 10. Yeah, they haven't really adjusted their prices in that regard. Is panel lining worth learning? Absolutely. It's not even really a skill. Like, it's such an easy thing to do that the only reason not to do it is if you just aesthetically don't like how it looks, which is why I generally don't panel line my models just because I like the simpler, more anime accurate look, but it's not something that's hard to do at all. It's very simple, especially if you just use one of the standard lining pens. They just have a simple pen tip. You literally just draw the lines on the kit. You can't mess it up. You really can't. Have I seen the short of someone being disappointed with the HG Moon because it doesn't have backing in the front skirt and costs the same as an... No, I haven't, but that person sounds like a dumbass. But they're on YouTube Shorts, so I'm not surprised. The only HG I allow myself to want is a new Barzam too. Dude, Barzam's awesome. I love the Barzam. That's another one of those just like S-tier Zeta designs. Everything in the Sunrise block from MSG to Dragonar had so much heat. Those shows Gundam, Ideon, Zabungle, Dunbine, Elgheim. Oh yeah, Elgheim had some awesome mobile suits, or not mobile suits, heavy metals, whatever they called them. The mecha in Elgheim looks so good. Zeta, Double Zeta, and Dragon. Yeah, Dragonar had some interesting designs as well. Moon Gundam is the first gunplay I built myself. Yeah, that's a hell of a place to start. You will forever be disappointed by every other kit that you build. Yeah, see, this is the kind of stuff that I don't like about the more simplified construction, where the shoulder joint here is literally just two pieces pushed together. There's no, like, encapsulating around the joint. It's just, like, pushed together, done. Kind of like IBO did this with a lot of their joints. I'm not really a big fan of that. And it's ultimately, it doesn't affect the end result too much because the shoulder... Well, I was going to say the shoulder pad encapsulates it, but it really doesn't because you can still lift it up like this. But just knowing that that's how it's constructed and the process of building it just being assembling two pieces makes it feel kind of underwhelming, even if it actually doesn't affect the end result that much. thing I dislike about Bandai is they create over-the-top and ridiculous suits for one-year war just to justify who won on some canon encounters. Yeah, some of those one-year war side stories have some ridiculous technology in them. Remember, Paulo was the first character in SRW with a bouncy cut-in? That must have been a while ago, because I feel like the bouncy cut-ins are kind of a staple for SRW. Except for the really recent... It feels like for the really recent games, they kind of toned it down a little bit. Is the HD Wing Gundam Sky Zero any good? It's okay. I don't really like the high-grade Wing Zero that much, because I've talked about it a lot this stream, but I hate kits that have that really cheap, underbuilt feeling, and Wing Zero is probably one of the worst examples that I've built. Everything about it is, like, super, super cheap feeling. Everything feels really hollow. The joints are very plasticky. If you just like how it looks and you want to try it, that's fine, but I would not recommend it. It has a very strong, cheap feeling to it. Full Bullet Zaku. Sunrise doesn't believe Raiden could have beaten the F... Okay, well, I think the Full Bullet Zaku is definitely non-canon. In the FA, yeah, those aren't canon. So, grab the arm joints here. No, it's the greatest Gundam series no one has seen. I feel like a lot of Gundam fans have seen Gundam X, but it is definitely one of the better Gundam series. A lot of the allure of it does come from the fact that it was prematurely canceled, but even taking that aside, it's still a pretty good show. Basically, in the 90s, Bandai did a big continuous programming block of Gundams sort of back to back to back, so in 93 they did Victory, and then as soon as that finished airing, they started G Gundam in 94, and as soon as that finished airing, they started Wing in 95. So by the time that Gundam X came around in 96, people were so over Gundam by that point that Gundam X ended up suffering from a ratings decline that wasn't even really its own fault. So because of that, it got canceled after like 32, 35 episodes, I think, giving it one of the shorter runs out of the Gundam series. Although it was eventually dethroned by G-Reco, and oddly enough, was I muted? Okay. I must have bumped the button with my head, because it's right next to my forehead, so I bump the mic sometimes when I lean in. The Michael check is confirmed working. We are back. I'm into it. It does happen more than it should. On one hand, I really like having a microphone with a physical mute button. On the other hand, I also have a microphone with a physical mute button. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. MJ makes his reviews early by pre-ordering kits from Japan and hustling like crazy. I'm also illiterate in Chinese, but I can't speak or listen to it either. Yeah, man, same. I'm actually like that. I have that level of fluency in over 90 different languages. It's crazy. It's like, I don't know, maybe there's just something about how my brain is wired, but I guess I'm just built different. I miss being in Hong Kong, so we used to get kits there when Japan got them. Yeah. That must be nice. I miss Fuqli model so much. Fuqli model. I say that as if that name would mean anything to me. Like, I've never been to Hong Kong, so I don't know what that name is, but I'm sure I can infer from how you're talking about it that was probably a pretty cool store. 3 and 4 from the D1 runner. Rest of Savant when it comes to not speaking languages. Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone on Earth that doesn't speak more languages than I do. The only way that would be possible would be if you had some sort of like feral forest child that never learned how to speak. They don't know English, they don't know anything. If that person exists, they're the only person that can beat me at not knowing languages. No offense, but Chinese to me sounds like nails on a chalkboard. I don't find it to be super appealing to listen to. I wouldn't say it's like grating, but it's definitely... I find whenever I've tried watching like shows in Chinese before because that was like the language they were made in, and I was like, oh, I'll watch it in the original language, but it is kind of rough to listen to. Both with Cantonese and with Mandarin. Fuqli is a long-time HK store that's super popular, super cheap, and gets skids of kits instantly. Nice. That's cool. US is like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. He sets a trap up, runs through it, goes back and checks it for it to backfire on him. Yeah, that do be how it is sometimes. More excited when Bandai finds ways of making kits more detailed than when they release new Gundams. I mean, I like when they release new kits, right? Like, I like seeing like new mobile suits we've never gotten before get models. They're literally what allowed me to build Gunpla on a small Asian boy budget. Yeah, it seemed like they were pretty instrumental in that for you. What's the biggest kit in my collection? Probably, actually no, definitely. It's definitely my Perfect Rate of Stray. That's the only 1/60th I have, so that's pretty definitively my biggest kit. My social credit minus 20. Yeah, sorry GG Ping, I just don't like how your language sounds. Also, I've noticed with Chinese accents in English, there's two kinds of Chinese accent. There's the normal Chinese accent where you hear like a bit of that Chinese inflection in their speech, and then there's what I like to call the reverse Chinese accent. And I always noticed whenever I was listening to someone who was like Chinese speaker originally, but really fluent in English as well, I always noticed that there was something a little bit off about how they spoke, and I finally figured it out. It's because sometimes with people that originally spoke Chinese, they are so conscious of like what a Chinese accent sounds like when speaking in English that they go out of their way to not sound like they're speaking with a Chinese accent, and it kind of creates like a whole different accent. I can't quite describe it and I can't quite imitate it, but it's like an opposite Chinese accent. It's like they go too far in the other direction. I buy stuff online with my cool boy welder budget. Nice. Super Mini Play SRX is a pretty big model. Oh no, that's not a dig at how you speak. It's not even like an insult. It's just something that I've noticed about the way that some people speak English if they originally spoke Chinese. It's like the two accents, the normal Chinese accent and the reverse accent. I speak 2 languages fluently. I know 3 national anthems by heart, and I can only read Cyrillic. Nice. Minus the 1/100 Yaka Mirage Twin Towers that I totally have. I totally have a kit that retailed for... Holy fuck. 16... What? Is that... Wait, is that $1 million? 168,000 yen in 1999. That takes... What the... Hang on, I need to look this kit up. Yaka Mirage Twin Towers. 100 Yaka Mirage Twin Towers. What the hell is this? By Volks. Oh, it's a 5-star stories kit. I see why it's called the Twin Towers now. It just has these, like, massive 4-foot-long cannons coming off of the back. Man. That is, that sure is something. You can really tell that Nagano didn't have anyone holding him back when he made that. That's on the new Barzam they announced. Is that the Barzam 2? I did think that was kind of neat. I don't love really any of the Advance of Zeta stuff too much, but I think that was kind of neat. Every time I speak, someone guesses different. Yeah, it's like the neutral English accent. I speak English and barely intelligible moonshine drunk hillbilly. Nice. Yaka Mirage has a massive set of personalities on it. Oh yeah, they're absolutely enormous. Gotta be like, what, Z cups at least? Not because of a certain... No, that's not why they call it that. That's not why they call it the Twin Towers. I wasn't entirely sure when I first looked it up, but no, it's literally has a pair of massive towers on its back. From foot to cannon tip, the cannons in universe are 2004 millimeter Buster launcher. To ask, can you put up the Lunamaria Figma box up on stream to be a guest host like Jason? I'll have a Lunamaria co-host when I actually do that stream, because I'm going to be streaming that kit when I get it in. I speak Canadian English and don't speak French. It's a drawing with a dude easily chilling in the barrel. Yeah, he's basically just got like a pair of grain silos on his back. Or no, grain silos aren't that skinny. It's like a industrial factory smokestack or something. I got the neutral American accent with a touch of Boston and a sprinkle of country. Yeah. I'm surprised MJ hasn't picked up more of a British accent with how long he's been over there. I'm sure it'll come to him eventually. This piece. You are the piece that I need. If it did, it would probably destroy the entire city, yeah. I was about to say I'm surprised that Gundam never explored the acts of terrorism you could do with massive mecha technology, and then I remembered that colony drops exist, and that pretty much trumps anything else you could possibly do. Have I heard about SF3D? Ordered an old Zeta Plus C1, but got a Hornisse instead. What? I have no idea what that is. Oh yeah, Dual Blitz looks great. I think my favorite Gunpla box arts are for the green MG Zaku 2.0s. Yeah, a lot of the MG box arts are great. I'm so glad they got Morishita back for the Seed Freedom line. I've actually got, in my small and limited art book collection, let me go grab it real quick, because I always like to show this stuff off on stream when I can. I've actually got an art book of a lot of Morishita's artwork from the 2000s, and a lot of this is Gundam kit box art, but there's also a lot of art that he did for various guidebooks and magazines. So like these illustrations are from the Great Mechanics series, but then we've also got like some full page posters that he did, and then we got box art for stuff like the Keyblade Mark II. And I love these art books because they let you see the full version of the box art without any of the text or logos in the front of it. Yeah, Neochika. So you got the Freedom, the Impulse, the Strike Noir. He did a lot of the MG box from the 2000s and 2010s. Pretty cool stuff. There's a second volume to this too. I want to pick up that one at some point as well. I lived in the UK for 4 years and didn't get any British unless I actively tried to get one, but I did start using some British slang like in it. I saw a post somewhere recently that basically pointed out that Desu is like the Japanese version of Init. 2S, better than having Lunamari as the guest host for that build, could he add the Destiny Gundam stabbing through your character with the anti-ship sword for thinking unclean thoughts about the kit? Man, there are not enough anti-ship swords on Earth to purge my unclean thoughts about that kit. Meanwhile, Dunbine were due to reasons normal weapons on Aura Battler in the fantasy world become OP on Earth. I need to watch Aura Battler sometime. That looks like a cool show. Seems really interesting and unique for a mecha anime as well. Like a cool fantasy isekai mecha fusion. They make art book? Dude, almost every artist that I know of that's worked on Gunpla box art has an art book. I don't have a lot of them physically, but I grab like PDF collections of them whenever I can. It's so cool to have access to the full versions of the box art without the logos. You know it's Neochika box art when there's an explosion behind the robot? Absolutely. Really detailed, tons of rendering and shading on everything. Glowing bits everywhere, glint coming off the eyes. Caught, pen, pin, nurture, gang, rise up. Unclean thoughts can only be purged by the Shiva. It literally had to combat unclean thoughts. Yeah, and it fought the unclean thoughts and it lost. So which of these do I need? I want you and you facing this way. Okay. Gunbine's pretty good, but I wouldn't go into it for the Isekai specifically. It's a real robot show through and through with a fantasy coat of paint. That sounds interesting, actually. A lot of this is how people wield technology as they do not understand the impact of it and why it's bad. Combined with the malicious ambitions of those who do not know what they're doing too well. Can't say PDF file nowadays, but thinking of PDF files, yeah. It's one of those terms that's, due to being used as a euphemism, it's kind of been shifted in its meaning. Let's say some PDF documents. I have some PDF documents on my computer. Definitely not the other meaning of the word. Absolutely not. I don't know what I did wrong, but I somehow managed to do it in every possible way. Let me try this piece. It's almost like there's a reason they don't tell you to build both arms at once, because they're actually different parts, and you can completely screw it up if you build it wrong. Anyways, I'm going to keep building these at the same time anyways, because I don't learn from my mistakes. Build's going fine, no name. There's some cool engineering in the torso. We've been very slowly crawling through the arms because I've been getting progressively more and more tangenty as the stream goes on. I like the mechs from Gurren Lagann, but wasn't a fan of the characters. I didn't really like the mecha that much in Gurren Lagann. Innocuous terms being used to dance around YouTube's regulations. Yeah, it makes it sound so dumb when you're having a conversation too and you're saying stuff like unalive. Fucking social media, man. Gurren Lagann mecha is not very mechanical. Yeah, it's got that look of like the mecha anime that wasn't intended to have actual merchandise made of the mecha, so they didn't make the mecha look like cool in the mecha way. And it's one of those things that I think about a lot, is how a lot of the aesthetic decisions that are made in mecha anime are dictated by the fact that they are meant to be merchandise. Real Robot Mecha are designed to become model kits. Super Robot Mecha are designed to be like big Chogokin transforming toys. They design them to be toys from the get-go, and that dictates the classic mecha look. So if you try to make a mecha design and you're not, at the very least, envisioning yourself as if you're designing it to be a toy or model, it's not going to look like an anime mecha design. Very 70s. It does have a little bit of that 70s look, yeah, where it was kind of all over the place. Diebuster is also like this, but I really love the dick sniff. I've not seen Diebuster before, just the original Gunbuster. From what I've seen, Diebuster looks pretty different aesthetically, though. Moderoid makes super robots better than Chogokin, yeah, but the super robots were built for Chogokin in the first place. They were designed for the big, chunky, like, hang on, this is going to be another tangent of 2S pulls out something cool that he likes to show off from his collection, but... Super robots are meant to be something like this, right? They are always, pretty much always designed from the get-go, whether they're Brave or, you know, Combattler V, Voltron, whatever it is, they're designed to be a toy like this. A big, chunky plastic and chrome, maybe some die-cast parts robot toy. That is what they are intended to be from the get-go, and they're always designed with this in mind, right? Like, how many times have you seen an interview with a mechanical designer where they said that some aspect of the design was dictated by the toy company because they wanted a certain gimmick? It's always a big part of the design process, and that's why super robots look the way they do. They have bright colors to attract children. They have shiny metal parts because chrome looks cool on toys. So many of these design elements are dictated by the fact that they're making them, you know, look sort of toyetic. So if you're not designing with that in mind, you're not going to make something that looks like a super robot. Back in his home. Darling the Francis Diebuster, but if the designs were dog shit. Yeah, that's the point though. The Shambler was never designed to be burnt. That's why it looks the way that it does. They were never intending to make a kit of the Shambler, so they went completely wild with the design. So a very cool third-party non-Gundam looking mecha. Motor Nuclear makes some pretty cool mecha. What would be a beginner gunpla? Really any high grade. Like, I don't believe in beginner kits. I think all of Bandai's models are really easy and straightforward to build. Although the obvious choice would be an entry grade ARC 78. D20, 39, and 40. Okay. The only reason I got an entry grade for my cousins because they love the original Strike Gun without the backpack. Yeah, honestly, entry grades are always a good choice for a beginner. It's literally what they're designed for. Beyond that, though, just Get a high grade you think looks cool. There's not as much of a difference between them as people make them out to be in terms of difficulty. It's just following instructions. The ABS in my Chinese kits felt better than ABS on Bandai, Kodo, or Moderoid, but not the polystyrene. I don't think the Sentinel had any ABS on it. At least I didn't notice any. There might have been some in the pre-built frame. People don't understand how good even the worst Bandai kit is compared to the average model. Yeah, exactly. The standard of quality for Bandai is so high that like everything is generally pretty good. With that said, because that's the standard they set for themselves, it's fair to criticize Bandai kits relative to other Bandai kits. Sentinel's not all ABS. It is 100% polystyrene. It feels like polystyrene. It cuts like polystyrene. And when I cemented it together with plastic cement, it worked, which I'm pretty sure only works with polystyrene. Because I believe if you need to glue ABS, you have to use a different solvent for that. So I'm pretty sure that the entire thing is styrene. In fact, I'm very confident that it is. Don't keep it from sunlight because of Bandai kit since ABS yellows. It's not ABS. I'm 100% certain it's not ABS. Yeah, I've never seen a company that makes traditional like car and military models even come close to what Bandai does. There's just no comparison. And it would be cool if they did. It would be cool if there was a company that did like military models to a Bandai level of quality, but it's just not a thing that it seems like there's enough of a market for. Tamiya sells an ABS cement, but it's not the same as their normal cement. And since I used normal cement on it and it worked extremely well, it's probably polystyrene, on top of the fact that it feels like polystyrene, it cuts like polystyrene, it cements like polystyrene. It's almost certainly polystyrene. I got the EG new Gundam for my first Gundam. It looks amazing, but it's very loose. Yeah, that happens with entry grades over time. The joints are not super well designed. And it is tall for 1/144th scale, yes. The way the elbow is shaped on the Calibarn is really weird. It's got like this like big spike that comes up in the middle of the elbow. The elbow almost looks more natural at a 45 than it does when it's bent straight. The strange choice. Am I missing any nubs? No. There's a little sticker that's supposed to go there, though. Sticker number 20. Just a little green sensor mark. TB can get confusing for having 3 or 4 different thinners for different paints and tones of panel liner and other paints from acrylic to enamel. Yeah, and their acrylic paints aren't like entirely acrylic paints. They're like this weird, like water soluble but not actually water based thing, so you can't always thin them with water, and there's like other stuff you have to do with them. It's a weird. Tamiya's product line when it comes to paints is really confusing. I generally don't like using them. I have a couple cans of Tamiya paint, but I don't really use them for much. There's no market for pre-colored military car scale. Yeah, the people that build them are so comfortable with how they are now that there's no reason for them to innovate. HG Strike's going to be the way to go for building perfect strike. That's what I'm planning on doing. Yeah, I don't want to use the entry grade strike body for that. Military builders wouldn't even lose glue if stuff like gluing a tank hull together is not needed. After all, you could do that with pegs. Yeah. Tamiya kits are Bandai level in precision and fit. Okay. Right, we got a PG, it's going to be the Unicorn. Honestly, Most PG kits you can't go wrong with. They're generally pretty cool across the board. There's a couple exceptions like the Ava 1 and the Wing Zero, but for the most part, they're pretty cool. Yeah, and yeah, if you have weird niche tastes like that, Cat, you're not going to find a perfect raid that you're going to be into, most likely. Tried to make the RG Unicorn, but sadly broke the arm joint. Yeah, literally everyone does that. It's a very common mistake. To the point where I don't even like calling it a mistake anymore, because when you design a kit that unclearly so that so many people break it, at a certain point, it stops being the builder's fault and starts being your fault for not making a clearly understood model. Like, if you're not clearly explaining in the manual, or it's not obvious from the way the kit's designed how you're supposed to bend it, at a certain point, that's on you as the designers of the kit. PG Wing Zero is just kind of jank. It doesn't have a lot of the benefits you get with later perfect raids. It's kind of stiff and awkward looking. It also doesn't have the level of inner detail that you got with a lot of the other older perfect raids. So, like, yes, something like the Zaku perfect raid's a really old kit, or the Mark II perfect raid, but you strip that armor down and you've got some absolutely gorgeous frame detail underneath and tons of pistons and moving parts. And the Wing Zero has some of that, but it doesn't quite go as far as the others do, which makes it feel a lot more underwhelming for its age. ABS yellowing's funny. My YF25, there's white ABS for joints and white PS for other stuff, and the ABS is a noticeably different color. Yeah, that can happen if you have the different plastics mixing. When are you building the PG Millennium Falcon? Never. I don't care enough about Star Wars to build a Star Wars kit that big. 2S calling Dakhat's taste weird is a mild understatement. Oh yeah, he is the weird MS guy, 100%. PG Wing Zero has no stand for a PG that absolutely needs a stand. And the best part about PGs that don't include stands is that Bandai doesn't make a stand that's big enough for perfect raids. So if it doesn't come with a stand, it's never going to be on a stand. Unless you, like, scratch build something yourself. Now I just need to build the hands, and the arms are going to be done. What do the handguards look like? Oh, they're these pieces. One day I'll earn the title of world's #1 MSA 120 fan by having one. PGU Dendrobium when? Never. You could just sleep inside of it. Who needs a house? Just sell your house, buy a PG Dendrobium. When I got an RG Hino, I painted the gold parts. Yeah, a lot of people did that. It ends up looking pretty good when you do. I've seen people paint the silver parts on it as well. PG UGM when? Honestly, I can't see Bandai doing a model for it, but I could see some guy doing like a resin garage kit conversion. Man, things are gonna get really cool once more garage kit makers start to embrace 3D printing. Because, like, there's small communities of people that do 3D printing for Gunpla, and that's cool, but when that stuff really takes off, we're gonna see some insane cool shit. I would like to live inside of a skeleton trophy, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Hope they do some retooling for the RG 2.0 to give us RGGM. I don't think we're gonna get a GM from that mold. If we ever get a modern GM kit, which at this point I'm kind of doubting we ever will, it's gonna be either from the Origin mold or it's gonna be from the entry grade. But I feel like for a long time now, probably that Origin GM that we got with the MSD weapons is the closest we're ever gonna get to a Revive Origin, or a Revive GM rather. No matter how badly the GM deserves it. Shocked we didn't get... Yeah, entry grade GM would have made a lot of sense. I can see them not doing a ton of variants for entry grade because the whole point is to make the line simple enough for a beginner to get into without being overwhelmed by different options. But even then, like, just doing a GM wouldn't have been that crazy. It would be a cheap army builder too. EG is aimed at undercoming HD army builders. Yeah, but for something really iconic like the GM, I could see it making sense. Like, sure, they probably wouldn't do an entry grade for like a, I don't know, like a Jin or something, but for the GM, sure. RG Banshee or Unicorn? I much prefer the Banshee. I just like the design. It looks cooler. It's got the black and gold, and it's got cooler weapons, I think, than the Unicorn as well. Let's see what we got for arms. So the wrists right off the bat already feel pretty loose. Definitely don't feel as tight as the polycap wrists on a standard high grade. The elbows feel fine. I don't think the elbows are going to be a problem down the line. Their movement leaves little to be desired. They only come up to about here. And I'm not like a big articulation guy, but even then, I do like to see a little bit more than the 100 degrees or so we have here. There's a rotation pivot here that feels a little loose. The actual shoulder joint here is actually nice and tight. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Let's see what the actual joint connection to the body is like. That's pretty tight for now. I could see this loosening up over time, but I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. I do like that shoulder swing forward movement. Unfortunately, it doesn't swing forward as much as a polycap would. Testing the swing up movement, though, it's actually very hard to engage the joint to rotate upwards because when you try to bend the arm up, it just pops the joint out. So I feel like I have to kind of... You can't even manually rotate it up. It really doesn't want to move. So it seems like if I want the arm to come up to the side, I really am just going to have to rely on the actual shoulder joint itself. I'm not going to get as much upward collarbone movement as I thought I would. Because of the way the joint's recessed in there, you're really not going to be able to get a good grip on it to move it around. So you can kind of get a little bit of forward out of it, like that. Like, that's fine. But you're not going to get as much upward as I thought you would while assembling it. Which is part of why I was reserving my judgment of the articulation for when the kit was more assembled. Because sometimes you're building the kit and you're like, oh wow, this joint moves a lot. And then once you get everything assembled, you realize that it actually doesn't help as much as you thought it does. But that does look pretty nice, though. I really would have liked to have seen more out of the elbows. Literally just like 10 to 15 degrees more. If the arm could maybe come up from, like, instead of here, if it came up to like here, that'd be totally fine. Especially given how articulated everything else is. Like, the shoulder movement is really good. Like, everything else here, the neck is great. Like, look at that forward bend. That's because of the way the joint's designed here. We've got a ball socket on top and then one going perpendicular to it at the bottom. That is a crazy, crazy neck bend. Like, that is insane. I don't have any use for that, and I don't really see a point to it, but it's a very cool piece for articulation. I would have preferred if instead of having a ton of forward movement, it had a ton of back movement, so you could do like a kind of Superman flying style, like body flat but looking ahead type pose. I don't really see how useful this is going to be unless you want her staring down into her cockpit, but it's definitely showing that you can get a lot of movement out of some of these joints. I wish it was a little bit more. And it's not like it's the end of the world, but just a little bit, right? Like, she doesn't need to be able to touch her own shoulders. Just like 10 degrees. Just 10 degrees more out of the elbows would have been totally fine. It's a very, very minor issue so far in regards to that. The bigger issue with the articulation, I feel, is these shoulder joints and how they theoretically should be able to rotate upwards, but you can't get them to move because you try to bend it up from the arm and it pops out. And they're so far recessed in here, you can't really rotate them up on their own. So those joints, I thought they were going to be a big help to the kit as I was assembling it. And once it's all together, not really. Do I think the kit's small? It seems like it's pretty standard high-grade size so far. I wouldn't say it's small. It's a little on the light side just because it's such a slender design, but I wouldn't say it's small. We literally just got announced a new GM, Turbulence from... Okay, well, that's not a standard GM dipper. That's like some variant thing. We're talking about like the classic 0079 GM. At least with the Calibarn, the weapon's not all on the wrist. Yeah, it's an underslung weapon, so it should be fine. This might be, maybe I definitely don't think it's a problem. It's effectively not going to do that much in practice. Yeah, but still, it's like, this is minimum, right? Like, if I built a kit from 2009 that had this amount of elbow movement, I'd be fine with it. It'd be like, yep, that's good enough. But for a 2022 or 2023 kit, when did this come out? Was this 2024? It was 2023. Okay, so for a 2023 kit, I think a little bit more. It needs a little bit more. And it's not like, again, not touching the shoulder is not really necessary. Just a little bit more. All it would have needed. Once you finish the build, paint it fully in Gundam marker. I am not going to be painting this with Gundam markers. It's a witch, not a gymnast. Yeah, but like, I'm not a gymnast either, and I mean, you know? What goes into these legs? So I could sit here and I could grind out the rest of this kit. We got a pretty good sized audience here. Things are going pretty well. However, I am also really hungry. So I think I'm going to probably axe the stream sooner rather than later, and we'll have to come back to this another time. I was intending to finish this in one stream, and I could finish it in one stream, but I would kind of have to starve myself to do so, and I'm not really in a mood to do that right now. So I think we're going to end the stream here. We only had 1,000 dropped frames this stream, so that was pretty great. Yeah, man, you're hungry as well. Okay, so I think I'm going to end it here for dinner. Go and grab something to eat. And then maybe I guess a couple days from now is going to be July 4th, so I'm probably not going to stream then, but maybe in like Friday or Saturday, we'll come back and we'll finish this kit up. So yeah, thanks for coming by, guys. If you're new here, subscribe. I imagine most of you are. Grab your kits at New Type from the affiliate link in the description below to help support the channel. And as always, I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys. And no, ID Monster, I promise, I will be back again. I will definitely be back again. You can hold me to it.